And now, holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spittin Chiclets.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 411 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney Vodka from our friends over at New Amsterdam Vodka on the Barstool Sports Network. We are in episode 411, as I mentioned, and we have a very, very, very special podcast here. We're live in Pittsburgh with the Motley Crew. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of a fatality. RA not in the house, dealing with I broke my back.
Sciatica.
Sciatica.
By the way, how are we still in
back.
Pittsburgh? How are we still
We've
in
been here for
Pittsburgh?
a month.
I said,
I'm amazed you guys are still
I
here.
woke up this morning, I said, I feel like I've been drinking in Pittsburgh for 5 days. Murls said, we have been. I'll say, though, this, Biz, we've grown up a ton. If you go back to Detroit, post-Chiclets Cup last summer, zero voice on any of us. 5 days in the Berg, we all sound pretty decent. We all could have showed up to this with Vegas voice, and I feel like that's a win in itself that we can
Were you
record
guys on
this.
the brink? Were you on the brink?
I was on the brink. I was crushing some tea late night to try to figure it out, and it
I was
worked.
close a few times, too, while I was managing work this whole weekend with the Penn schedule, too. So I was like, I was thinking of you with the Vegas voice. I was so close. So close. You guys almost got me.
The key is the tea, the honey, and the lemon. The honey coats your throat. And
Does it? Yeah.
That's the one thing in the industry. We have a very special show, as I mentioned, a huge guest, Nathan McKinnon, superstar of the Colorado Avalanche, fresh off of his $12.6 million per year contract that he signed. Just took a dump on McDavid's agent with that one. I guess let's start it off. We had a massive weekend. We had 2 live appearances at bars. We went to the Penguins game on Thursday. We had a live show on the Friday, and then we cap things off with the Pittsburgh Steelers game, in which we did the clean sweep. We got the win on Thursday, we got the win on Saturday, and the win on Sunday against none other than Tom Brady. Whit, how are you going to head back to Boston after beating your boy Tom?
As a winner, because we brought the city of Pittsburgh some not much needed, actually the football team much needed, but just overall success. And with all the success the team had when we played here, so it was a little bit shocking that the Steelers were able to beat Tom Brady. I'll say this, though. Crosby had about 41 points in the 2 games we were here, so he's already making Murls look at houses to buy around.
I immediately called his agent and said, hey, you guys put me up for the year. I'm fine. Just get me a house. I'll move the family here, and we'll keep this thing going and bring another cup home.
I think we hit the boost at, 10 minutes into the first period, for fuck's sake?
It was.
Yeah, they're not even fun. It wasn't even fun. It was over too quick.
It was.
What were both boosts for people who don't know? And I believe it
Did
was
it both times.
Yeah, they did.
Crosby 2 points, over 5.5 goals, and the Penguins to win.
So easy picking against the shitbag Coyotes. What a horrible team that is. And then to go against the Lightning and have Sid do it again, it's like, wow, that might have been a little tougher, so the odds went up even more for that one. So a very successful gambling trip, I'd say.
Unbelievable. And even the Steelers, too. Mur, what'd you...
Steelers.
We were down there on the field.
We're on the field. The energy was incredible. I was like, I got to take the Steelers. You just got to take the Steelers. EBR rule number 1, always take the home team if your boot's on the ground.
Guys, we have to mention what happened on the field.
Oh, my God.
Holy shit, boys. This is Paul Bissonnette at his finest.
No.
Yes.
Wow,
Army and Mur were at a different section on the field before we all connected, thanks to the man that I'll now bring up. So a guy walks over to us and he says, hey, Ryan, Paul, Mike, great to meet you guys. Big fan of the show. I love Spittin Chiclets. I'm Dan Rooney. So in my mind, and Grinelli knew too, I said, holy shit, the Rooney family owns the Steelers. This guy is, I don't know if he's the director.
He's the guy.
I don't know if it's his dad. He looked about a little younger than me. He actually mentioned he went to high school with my brother's wife. So he grew up around here, and I knew, all right, well, we're dealing with either the current or future owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And thank you so much for having us. And Biz says, dude, can I get a water somewhere around here? And the guy's like, he's like, well, dude, I just smoked a ton of weed. I have the worst drive out. The guy was like this. I'll try to find you a water. It was the most ridiculous.
I was parched.
G goes, hey, I love the stadium, to try to like tell Biz that this is the owner.
Yeah.
He's like, my cotton mouth from that weed, dude. I'm
You guys
really
got some
hurting.
bunk ass weed here, man. Go get me a fucking water. No, listen.
To the owner.
No, I knew it was the water. I said, is there anywhere that I can go get one? That's how I established it, knowing that he was such a nice guy. And he would probably say, hey, I can go down to the locker room. I should have been in there drinking out of the Gatorade jug. Okay? So, yes, I did fuck up. I feel bad. But, hey, that's what you get when you change the name of the stadium. I wasn't happy about it. That was my way to get back at him.
Also, so we...
I would imagine
imagine
that was a financial decision, Army.
I had imagined so. Yes.
So we also...
naming rights, of course.
Saturday night was a great time. We had an awesome time watching the Pens beat up the Lightning at McFadden's, a cool meet and greet. So naturally, you have some drinks, and then the next morning you have one. It's a little bit of the shampoo effect. So the Merman, he's walking around on the field, and he's just got his nice big deal brewing and warming up. This guy missed getting run over by the lineman running out of the tunnel by 1 inch.
Crazy.
It would have been the best viral clip Chiclets has ever had, and we were screaming at Sidney Crosby from the suite, for Christ's sake.
Okay, well, before we get to that, let's go right to the
This trip is amazing.
Yeah, it's been a shit show.
Guys, before we go any further, we need to talk about Pink Whitney. Now that the NHL is back, the Spittin Chiclets crew's been ripping shots nonstop. Go down to your local liquor store, request Pink Whitney. Nothing goes hand in hand like hockey and some ice cold Pink Whitney.
Let's go back to Whit's arrival, in which Jen, she works for the Penguins. She is absolutely lights out. She's been with the organization for what?
She's the queen. She's the queen of the Penguins.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been here forever. She runs the show, takes care of everybody.
Buries the bodies.
She's a bulldog when she has to be, for sure. And she gets it all done, right? Like, I mean, she's been here since we started.
I think she was an intern my rookie year.
Yeah.
And then she's just climbed her way to the top. She's unbelievable, but I'll say this, she's kind of on my shit list right now, because if you haven't seen my Twitter or maybe our Instagram, I think Cornelli reposted it, I arrived to the hotel on Wednesday evening, and I knew, based on prior arrivals from Murls, that they'd have a bucket of Big Deal Brewing for us and like a Pittsburgh Penguins koozie and stuff. So I was like, nice. So I opened the door, and I looked right away, and I saw the beers. So that's cool. I then looked around because I was like, what the hell? And I see Kunitz, Letang, Crosby, Kunitz. I go into the room, I think 4 Kunitz posters, 2 Letang posters, and 1 Crosby pouring the booze from the cup into Kunitz's mouth. I'm like,
and I'm Michael Therrien and a pair of
No. If Therrien had been on there, she would have absolutely crushed it. But I was like, fucking Jen. I knew it was her right away. She's like, you did? And I said, yes, I did, Jen. So I didn't rip him down. I said, you know what? I don't care. He's watching over me. I'm back in the Steel City. But I did think I found them all, until I finally went down to take a shit, and there was Kunitz looking over me in the toilet too. I didn't even see that one until 20 minutes later.
Was it on the back of the door? When you closed the door?
No, it was like into the right. So when you didn't see it till you just sat down on the shit, and you're like, oh my god, he's like pointing at me like this.
And that's Jen Bolano from the
Jen
Bolano. Yep.
She did so much for us this whole weekend.
She's amazing.
I didn't want to drop her last name. I don't need anybody like hounding her from Pittsburgh, because these sports fans here are out of their fucking minds.
So that's your start. I just want to say, go ahead.
No, Army, you take it.
I just wanted to say, was it everything you guys expected, or was it better, or like coming back here? And I know Whit, when they announced that you guys were going to do the live show here, I thought you were going to cry, because you were so excited the opportunity.
I was just so pumped, because I hadn't been back in so long, and I mentioned to a lot of people that I met, like Jen and other people within the Penguins organization, Ken Fulton, catching up with him.
Oh yeah, I know.
Hey,
what a guy!
All these different people who are still here. Same trainer, equipment manager Dana Hines. He retired last year, but Tags takes over for him. So all these people I was talking to, it's the best memories I have of being an NHLer here. And granted, it was brief, but going to the Cup final was still amazing. And then being a rookie with Crosby, and to not be back in so long, it wasn't emotional, but to think back of like, my dream came true of playing the NHL, and my best memories by far were in this city. So seeing all the people that are still here and a part of it, and getting to kind of relive some of those things, even talking to some fans who were kind of pumping my tires about the backdoor offside one-timer, thanks a lot, it made me feel good to be back. And then the show, which we'll get into, to have that experience and that fucking crowd going that nuts was just the icing on top of all of it. So it was amazing. Army, put it this way, it basically really crushed the expectations, which were already high guy to begin with.
The way the organization made me feel, and the people, like I describe it as this, like I feel like I'm back in Canada. That's how nice people are here, and you would know too. Probably a big reason as to why you settled here. Like everyone just loves sports. Everyone's so friendly. And I kept reminding people at the live show, like I played 15 fucking games here, and they made me feel like I was being inducted into the Ring of Honor for crying out loud. I spent most of my time in the coast, the AHL with Wilkes-Barre, and it was nice to see even people from that organization at the time who were working there. They've called up. It seems like this organization has it figured out where they homegrown. Everybody's such a family, and for them to roll out the red carpet the way they did for us, like even at the game, and we're going to get into all of the shit show and antics. But before we do get there, we should talk about the Tequila Cowboys. They were awesome. We went there, launched a beer, signed some autographs for fans, and from there it was off to the game, in which we had a box set up with the whole Labatt crew.
What a crew.
And Army, all in the midst of this, you were working all weekend, so you were popping up and down and then working in between the benches, correct?
Yeah, I did. So the first night in the suite with Labatt's crew, who I know, like some of the people, the Labatt's people here from Pittsburgh, and I golfed with them before. They're beauties, like absolute beauties. So when I wheeled into your guys' box, I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, we're breaking code.
It was just insane in there.
Party.
It was a gong show. It was like walking down the hallway, like, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. All right. And I wheel in, and it's like, boom. It's like a tsunami of insanity.
I came out of the bathroom and walked back into the box, and Rick from Red Deer was crushing mustard, and then Memes was hammering on one knee a big deal brew. So I was like, all right, I guess this is our experience for game one.
Freaking Memes, he had me going. Terry Ryan was in there too. I was like, oh, here we go. This is it. All the Labatt's people were in there. So yeah, that night was electric, and I was, when I was with family because I became an American citizen on Thursday.
Congratulations,
that day.
Army.
That day, USA. But so I had a bunch of people in. So I was actually during that game watching from my own suite with my crew kind of too, while I was trying to take notes because I had to do the post-game show. And that's when I saw something I don't think you'll ever see at a sporting event again. Can we talk about?
Can I take you through the beginning of it, and then Biz, you'll take over
as long as you talk to that mic.
How you decided this?
Yeah, what's
so we had a woman come up to us and mention that we were going to get interviewed at the last TV timeout, the 6-minute mark of the first period, and it was going to be on the Jumbotron. So okay, great, sounds good. And she sits down.
Was this the girl that interviewed you guys?
Yes,
Selena Pompiani. Remember Bob Pompiani, the big news sports guy here? That's his daughter.
Okay,
and so she does a lot of stuff here too in town. So she's kind of part of the Pompiani, machine.
The
Pompiani
Mafia.
Yes.
So. I just mentioned, like, what are you going to ask us? Like, each get one question. She said, yeah. So the two questions I want to ask are, both of you guys being back in Pittsburgh, can you explain how good it feels to be back in this city with playing here prior? And I said, sure. And then she said, I'll also ask about Spittin Chiclets and the brand and it kind of exploding and what your show is. So I said, well, why don't you ask Biz that first, and I'll take over, like, kind of coming back to Pittsburgh. So right before it starts, Biz says to her, so is this going on the Jumbotron where the whole arena can hear it? And she's like, yeah. And I just saw that like twinkle in his eye where I was like, why is he asking her that? And boom, Biz, take it away, because I will never see what happened again at a pro sporting game.
Because I think when they originally explained it, I'm like, wait, this is going on the Jumbotron, and I didn't want to tell anybody and ruin the surprise.
Yeah, you didn't even tell me.
I'm like, I agree.
The whole time though, before the lead up is like.
So you knew you were doing that. So you knew you were doing that.
I knew I was doing it, but I didn't want to ruin the surprise because I knew if you would have told you might have tried to talk me out of it. But I agreed to do an intermission report hit with Todd Walsh for the Coyotes. So I'm hoping, hey, they're going to come out of the gate, be very competitive in the first period. Well, sure as shit, a couple minutes in, Crosby won. Then they get another one. Then next thing you know, it's 3-0. I'm like, motherfucker.
5 minutes in, it was 3-0.
I've been polishing turds for this organization since I joined media because the team hasn't been doing well. Now I got to go try to like spice things up after being down 3-0. So I said, fuck this. I'm going at them. So as soon as it comes over to me, and I feel bad because I completely ignored her question, but I said, we'll get back to that. And I said, can the guys on the bench hear me? I said, Sid, we talked about this. I said, I told you not to beat up on my Coyotes. And next thing you know, a couple minutes into the game, you're burying us. I say, I see you down by the bench sipping on your water. And if there's any guy in the league who's zoned in during a game and he takes things serious, like he's not going off script ever.
No.
Like rarely is he joking around and smiling. And if he does, it's right back to Mr. Seriousness. So, but you ended up taking it off of me and grabbing her wrist, which ended the line of the whole thing.
I don't even really. So once you started going, I'm like, all right, I got to get involved and scream at him too. Now,
wait. One thing that did get missed though, I said we need Whit. I go, it's 3-0. We need Whit out there for the Pens throwing a couple pizzas to get us back in it, and that's when you kind of grabbed it and took it over.
I didn't even hear that, which is a great line.
Literally grabbed it though.
So I grabbed what I thought was the mic. Turns out it was a wrist. I was so intensely. I probably had one beer at the time. People thought I was shit-faced. I was just so intently like yelling at him that about 30 seconds in, I realized I was squeezing the poor girl's wrist. Like I thought it was the microphone. And in the midst of it, took my hand off, said, sorry about grabbing your wrist. The people in the crowd are like, what is going on? But the best part is Crosby is, when Biz yelled, I see you squirting that water bottle. That's when I think the crowd is like, what is happening right now? What is going on? It got dead silent in there. And then I looked at, like, after the images came out or the video came out on Twitter, people were like, oh, he's pissed off. He loved it. He was dying laughing. Chris Stewart was like, he was like biting his lip to try not to laugh. And then after we saw Sid, he was loving it. He couldn't believe it, I think. But more than anything, what was shocking was, I figured we might get a pee-pee whack after that one. We were just screaming at one of the greatest hockey players of all time in the middle of a game. Now, mind you, I don't think Biz would have done it had Sid not already had 2 points and the team wasn't up 3-0, but still a ballsy move.
And you know him.
What happens next? Tom Werner comes in, the owner of the Red Sox, Liverpool, and the Penguins, and he's like, great to meet you guys. That was amazing. I was like, holy shit. How is the owner liking this?
I was like this in my thing. I was like, oh my God.
Was it the son of the owner? Because
so Sam Kennedy also is part of the Fenway group that owns Sox, Liverpool,
and he
Penguins.
was like, all of a sudden when all the commotion was going on, he's like, what's happening right now? And then the guy you just mentioned, what was it, you say Tim?
Sam Kennedy.
Oh, I was close.
It's 3 letters.
Not a name guy. But he was explaining to him, he's like, yeah, these guys used to play here. And he says, oh, go over and tell them, like, great job, you know. And then he came over, and obviously we broke code even more by getting a few extra people in our box. But what a fucking shit show. It was nice to end up going to see him after the game, too. We saw him and Gino. Yeah. Gino's English.
What was that like? Yeah, how was it going in there for all you guys?
So Sid, by the way, of course, he's working out after, by the last guy to be working out, or one of the last guys. So finally Jen says, all right, you can go into the room now. And we were originally talking to, I think Gino first came out. Gino comes over to me. Now, mind you, I told everyone I've never talked to Gino because when I play with him, he didn't speak English. I've never spoken to him. Maybe like go there on the ice or something. But he comes over and kind of just buries his head into my chest, like kind of fucking around. I was like, Gino, he goes, you make more money now than you did when you played?
Like, send me vodka. You send me vodka, man.
He goes, pink vodka. I drink. I Russian. I couldn't believe it. The first thing he brings up.
Oh, he's
money.
Hilarious. He's starting to do interviews
funny.
And stuff. Hilarious. I feel bad that we missed out on like
English how funny
Gino,
he was.
but he was still funny even though he couldn't really speak back then. But yeah, and then Sid. You guys Sid came out.
Well, fucking Murls and we had to go get a bite to eat eventually. I think we were in the locker room for probably a good 45 minutes. We talked to Coach Sullivan, Jari stopped by, Dumoulin, the new addition, Petrie, who ended up getting the helmet.
Awesome.
He fit in really good and looks to be snapping around early for the Pens. And we're going to get into talking about them as a team and what we think that they could eventually achieve. I say easily Eastern Conference, but it was just great hanging out with them. And then Murls and a guy we haven't even mentioned. We talked about this whole motley crew. Bugsy Malone was here.
No, Bugsy.
And we could
we not mention Bugsy yet.
Yeah, I know.
We gotta tell the Mario story. Should we hand it over to Whit quick to tell that one?
Which one?
The curfew one.
Oh my God, Bugsy told us this. He probably had told us this prior, but I didn't remember, so I was losing it. So his rookie year, he was playing real well. I think he ended up having 22 goals on the all-rookie team. But I think for a little while, I mean, this was old school NHL. The Pens were a bad team, an older team. They were kind of trying to lose in a sense to get Crosby, and that, or was it the Ovechkin draft?
We were going for Ovechkin.
They were going for Ovechkin. They ended up settling with McKinnon, which that's another debate we could bring up at some point. So Bugsy's kind of ripping it up.
He was
a little. I'm saying off the ice.
Yeah. When we say a little, we mean like basically 5 nights a week.
He was having a time. Like he was. I think he mentioned one of them. They had a big night in San Jose. The next morning, they flew 7 and 6 hours to Long Island. They got to the hotel finally at say 8 p.m. They had a 2:00 game. He still went out and scored the OT winner. But the coaches had enough. I think Edzo and the entire staff were like, this guy's got to reel it in. So after that trip, even though he scored the game winner in OT against the Islanders, he got his pee-pee whacked in the office. We'll fucking send you down.
Well, no. He asked him. He goes, Bugsy. He's like, when did you get home the other night?
Yes, yeah.
And Bugsy, assuming that he knew exactly when he gets home, without skipping a beat, he goes 3:30. And Edzo's like, what the fuck are you?
He thought he was gonna say midnight.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, I should have lied and said 1:30. You know,
for a 2:00 game.
No, I was in this game. We were down 3-0 after the second period. His D-man scored all 3 goals, like blatantly missed coverage. And they called him into the office and blah, blah, blah. But Bugsy being Bugsy goes out there. I don't even know why they played him in overtime, but he scores the overtime winner. And he's standing there in the crease like this with that big shitty finger in. And I think probably had beers on that plane on the way back.
So after Edzo ends up snapping on him.
So Edzo snaps, but he scores the game winner. But then he has the real meeting back at Mellon Arena the next day or whatever. And he comes out. He's like, I was kind of white-faced. I'm like, I think I might be going to the minors. And he goes up to Mario.
Come on down to the minors.
By the way, like the fact that he was like boys to go talk to Mario, like he's the only guy in the world who's a rookie who could be hanging out and going up to Mario after a meeting. He's like, Mario, they might send me down. They're yelling at me. He goes, kid, you ain't going anywhere. He's like, oh, okay, fuck, that's great.
Where are we going for lunch?
Just have the president and I guess maybe the greatest player of all time to tell you, you're fine, buddy. Don't worry what they tell you.
Well, yeah, and the owner and line mate. You know, it's a little comforting. And they got to sell tickets with the hometown kid. That's one of the only good things they had going that year.
Yeah. Bugsy could play, man. Bugsy was having a good year out of nowhere. One of the one good stories of that year actually was like Bugsy's year.
And he hadn't even really that year learned to fight.
No.
I think a couple years later he became more of a power forward and started fighting.
He was one of the best power forwards in the game.
And that guy was, that run to the cup where we lost, he was amazing. And I'll still never forget the story of when Hal Gill hit him with a slap shot and was he was so sorry and felt so bad. But he's like, I don't fucking care. You make me another $1 million a year because of that scar I played through.
He told the doctor, throw another stitch in there.
Throw another stitch in there.
Extra stitch. I love it.
One other in-game thing we did was the what was it? Bouncy ball.
Oh my god, that thing!
Ball soccer.
Oh, after the jumbotron yelling at Sid thing, I was like this, and then I was like, oh, I gotta stay to watch this. I knew you guys were coming out for this. So your crew comes out. They announce, here's the Chiclets crew. They come out on the ice, like from my point of view, like up top. I was watching and like they throw a ball out to play soccer with the things. The ball didn't exist. It was. I thought someone was gonna die. Rick from Red Deer was out of his mind.
Yeah, he just had his
he snuck
like,
down
booty
there.
shorts on.
He snuck down there.
He snuck down.
He was on the Zamboni.
Yeah,
he came out. He's dragging behind a truck when they come out. Like
him
they
and
have,
Iceberg.
Yeah, him and Iceberg are holding on, and he's like whipping his arm around with his little Daisy Duke shorts. I go, oh my god, this is insanity. They're completely taking over, and I'm watching. Guys are crushing into everything everywhere. Huge hits. Like I was like, someone's gonna die, and then they're like, try to get you guys off the ice at the end. You guys look exhausted. You guys can explain this, but this is just my view. And then Rick from Red Deer falls down. He's laying on the ice at center ice. The Zambonis start driving around. They're trying to get him up. He's just laying there. You guys were going off. You didn't see this.
Doing snow angels.
He was just laying there like it looked like he was knocked out, staring straight at center ice. I was like, Rick from Red Deer is on the ice in the NHL during a game, staring up at center ice while the Zambonis drive around. They're trying to kick him off the ice.
There was a guy. Like, when I heard this, by the way, this whole experience, right when the ball was dropped, I just went over and buried Terry Ryan from behind. but
he had like cowboy boots on too. He was sliding everywhere.
He got me back later, and he was just holding his bubble on my bubble, so I couldn't get up. And then later, like me and Bugsy crushed each other, and both went flying back. But it was such a gong show that getting off the ice, there was one guy in charge of moving the nets and getting everything ready, and he's like, get off the ice, let's go. I'm like, all right. So I didn't even know about Rick from Red Deer. The same guy, as I walk by, he goes, these fucking guys are a circus. I started losing. I'm like, we're a traveling circus in NHL games right now.
I was literally like this again, though. I was like, oh my God. Oh my, Rick from Red Deer's like trying to get in the game. He doesn't have a bubble on. You guys are hitting him. He could have got killed.
Before we move on, I think it's probably time we announced the special surprise we announced at the live show. I think that we ended up sending a few social media posts about it, but we're constantly being asked for more and more. I know we used to do 2 podcasts a week, and then we dialed it back. But our special announcement was we have a new podcast coming out called Chiclets, Etc., and we're adding Army and Murls to the mix, and they're really going to drive the bus on what's being talked about, the topics of conversation, and it's going to be a little bit different than just covering the league. I'll throw it over to you, Army, because you're going to be the host of it, but we have such a great connection because of the Pittsburgh organization. We felt it was fitting to not only announce it here, but because of the chemistry we all have and getting to talk about all these old stories that we're a part of, we feel like that we could, continue this and just have a lot of fun and open up new avenues for ourselves and grow our Spittin Chiclets network.
Thanks. Yeah, obviously we're pumped. It's awesome for me to be here with you guys and see you guys and spend the weekend here with you guys, and then obviously this to come up and have it linked with Murls as well, who I played a lot with and know very well. Came to my wedding, wouldn't leave my wedding, stayed at my wedding forever.
Got injured, so you could get called off.
All that stuff.
And then get on Crosby's line and buy your house and everything.
Yeah, everything like that. Yeah, so we all help each other and share and toss it around. But yeah, I think it's going to be once a month. We're going to be doing it. It'll be more of a wider look, possibly at the league, of storylines, teams, players, etc., and then some breakdowns just of regular everyday stuff, some cool segments that we have planned with EBR stuff and Murls, some European looks, right, Murls?
Yeah, one of my favorite ideas is the one you came up with, that we're just going to make fun of these guys. Like when Biz says something wrong on the real podcast.
That'll be the whole show.
I know.
We're just going to chirp you a lot.
Sure. I'm sure fans would love that.
I think that'll be a fun look, and it'll kind of tie into what you guys are doing, as we are would be your sister podcast underneath, right? So it's I think it's something that's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to get it going with Murls here.
I want to hear about what's going on in with the kids hockey. We have
hockey,
the rink shrink buddies, with Brian
Yandel
and Motts. Like some of these parents are out of their fucking minds, and I like hearing the stories.
Well, and it's crazy just where, youth sports is. It's like little professional businesses, the way it's done. So we'll get into all that. Yeah, we can toss it around to all sorts of things that we have. We have a little idea board that we're already working with. We have a bunch of stuff on there. Credit to Murls. He put a lot of good ideas on the board. So
that'll be available on our podcast feed and our YouTube channel as well. So you don't have to resubscribe to any other podcast channel. Right on the Chiclets channel, you'll have all their stuff.
And I don't know if I clarified. We're going to be doing this podcast once a month to start out. So you're going to be getting 5 podcasts a month. We are going to continue it into playoffs as well. Get Army more involved. I mean, you wear a lot of hats, right? So you're working with Sportsnet still. You're working with the Penguins. You're working with us now. Anything else that you're doing too?
No, that's everything. And then Uber driving my kids around. Okay. My 4 kids here in Pittsburgh. So yeah, I got a lot going on. It'll be awesome. I think we have on the thing, I think a lot of events with you guys where you guys do your things like we just did here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so we didn't really include that. Is Colby's going to be traveling on a lot of these trips with us now going forward?
Yeah. Oh, there was something I did forget.
The outdoor games, all sorts of different events, maybe some playoff stuff, Winter Classic. And yeah, hopefully be in the mix for all that stuff and have some fun. And if it's anything like we did here in Pittsburgh with that crowd we had at that live show, it'll be crazy.
What's crazy is some of the shit that we used to get away with in this organization. And when I was talking about them earlier, it's like they put up with a lot. Like I don't know how many bar fights I got into and got sent down to the coast.
Wheeling's only like 45 minutes down the road.
Yeah, so I wasn't too far. I was hoping that at one point somebody would go down where they need like an emergency guy, and I would get my...
That'd be unreal.
Kyoto got called up from the coast of the show.
Mike Chason, I think, played... He's the E-Bug here for the Pens, and he had to go down and sit on the bench, I think, for a few Nailers games too. So maybe that would have been awesome if we were here and he had to go play a game for the Nailers.
I was going to say that's not the ride you want. You want the Wheeling to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the reverse. But one of the things that you did mention this weekend was your time when you were with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, where we ended up going to San Antonio.
Oh my God!
When you found yourself maybe getting into some of your own minor league trouble, like I did.
Stupid. Yeah. Like, I mean, in San Antonio, fly out the next day. 3.5 years in the minors for me. So it's like, what's happening here? But Murls
going to make the NHL.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm never going to the NHL. This is not in the cards. But we went out that night, and if anyone's been to San Antonio, there's like a beautiful area there. Like there's a river walk area. It looks nice when we were there. There's restaurants and like a little walking sidewalk on either side of the river. Restaurants, bars, all sort of scattered around, and we ended up kind of just working our way through a bunch of stuff, and then at the end of the night, going home to our hotel. Well, on the way home to our hotel, like a melee broke loose. I got sucker punched. I had a fat lip. I wake up the next day. I come down like it's unavoidable. My lip was like this big. Buckled on this, like, boom, just smoked me. So we get back and like, you know, our coach and Glenn Patrick was like, hey, like this can't happen. Like, what do you do? I'm like, I know, like, sorry. So, you know, we're a month later, we're going back to San Antonio now to play again. So the warning goes out like, hey guys, remember last time? Like, let's keep our noses clean.
Army got suckered.
Oh yeah, no big deal. Let's just do it right. I'm like, yeah, I'm not screwing up again. No chance this is happening. So I'm like tagging along with all the older guys. And we just go grab a bite to eat. It's really nice, calm night. We're walking back kind of through this area to the hotel. I come up around the corner and I see Murls and two other guys on the ground, handcuffed at the Riverwalk, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "I am out of here." I'm like, "I am out of here."
I had my guy.
It was a 1 p.m. game, and then we had a team dinner afterwards. So it was a long day. And I'm telling you, I'll go down in history. I'll go to my grave with this. That those two guys started the fight. They were fighting the bouncers at Howl at the Moon. Is it Howl at the Moon, piano bars?
Yep. Yeah, that's what it was called.
And they're fighting the bouncers, and I'm watching this. I'm like, this is a shit show. So I go back in. I grab like 6 of my teammates. Like, you guys got to come out here and like clean this up with me. Like, this is a mess out here. So we all come back out, and they have them handcuffed. They have like the bouncers handcuffed, and I'm standing there and I'm explaining how it all happened to another cop. All of a sudden, he decides to just throw me down and handcuff me. And I'll never forget it. I remember like laughing, like smiling at Army, because I didn't do anything wrong. Like they can't arrest me. I didn't know like about public intoxication. So they throw us in the clink for public intoxication.
Which now I understand why you were put in cuffs, because I see you at night on these trips.
So we have to go to there, and we're not allowed out until we can blow under the legal limit. So we're stuck in there, and we know our flight's at 6 a.m. out of there. So now it's a panic. You're trying to drink water out of this faucet.
Go to the toilet.
So
toilet water.
So we finally get sober, and they put us. And the best part of this, they put us in front of a judge. This is Texas, baby, Texas. So we go up. The judge is like basically like treating us like we're kids. He's like yelling at us basically, and he's like, "Well, how much money do you have?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got $12." And he goes, the next guy, I got 42. And he goes, well, how much you have? And he's like, I got like 13. And he tells the girl, like, what's that add up to? And she's like, oh, $82. He goes, your guy's fine is $82. So they took all our money and then kicked us out.
And then went for lunch, and that was the end of it.
We sprint back to the hotel. We pack our bag, and we got out of there.
It never happened.
San Antonio owned.
We thought we got away with it until all of a sudden the next day it's in the Wilkes-Barre newspaper.
Didn't it make your home paper?
And then it ended up going back, and somehow my hometown paper found it. So then I had to tell my parents. It was a whole shit show.
We had an experience there in San Antonio as well. We had this video coach named Luongo, and he was a bit of a degenerate, but the Stutzy, our coach in Ontario, loved him. So I think like he was living in Hollywood at the time, and he would do the commute, but he was the degenerate on the weekend. So a couple times he like full blown missed the entire practice. Like wasn't there. Like Stutzy couldn't do the video session before practice. Oh, buddy. So he got a major pee-pee whacking. They kept him on board, and one of our next trips was going to San Antonio. So we weren't hanging out and partying with the coaching staff or any of these guys on the side. So we had a big, long, heavy night. We ended up at that Howl at the Moon, the piano bar, which is one of the go-to spots in San Antonio. So we're all coming back, a group of us, about like 1:32 in the morning. And we round where we're in the hotel in the lobby to where the elevators are, and all of a sudden, all you see is a shoe poking out of the elevator, and it's like closing, opening, closing, opening, and we keep walking around. It's the same guy, Luongo, no shirt on, puke all over himself.
God.
with his boot stopping the door. I thought there's no way in a million years this guy ends up off the rails again for the rest of the season. And we have the video somewhere. I actually texted Sean Backman and Vincent Laverde, who were two of the captains on the team, and they're trying to dig it up on their phones because I ended up doing the walk again and videoing it around the corner,
helping him.
and then straight right in his face. Well, then we helped him up. But
So this is a Calder Cup winning video coach. That year you guys won it?
that we won it the year before.
Oh,
He got
okay.
the job when we went to Ontario. So I'm not sure where Luongo is. He's probably in his boat shoes somewhere. We
Crazy story though, Mur. That was hilarious. That was just wild.
We haven't really talked about the live show. We have a lot of thank yous quickly. I'm going to hand it over to G. Of course, thank you to Body Armor and Big Deal Brewing, Labatt, everybody on that side who not only helped with the beer launch, I believe already sold out in Pennsylvania and Michigan. They're right at this moment restocking. G, hand it over to you for the thank yous to everybody who made that live event possible and run very smoothly.
Tons of people helped, and Taylor Dixon, Ashley Siako, Hannah Crow, Lisa Litvak and her whole team, Jeff Jacobson, Brandon Mim, and then just the staffs at McFadden's, Tequila Cowboys, everyone, Labatt Blue, like you said, Body Armor. It was a weekend with Chiclets, and none of that happens without Labatt Blue or Body Armor forking over the dough to do that.
Absolutely. That's
It
how
was
we're-
unbelievable.
The live show was incredible because we had the intros all planned out with videos for each guy, and then obviously our special guests. So Murls went out first, followed by Grinelli, followed by Biz, followed by myself. We get out there, we talk for about 10 minutes. Then Army joins us. We announce Chiclets, etc. Then we get Bugsy out there, and then we get Brian Burke to come join us. He shows up with a friggin' Kunitz jersey signed to me. Thanks for my opportunity in Pitt. I'm like, this is fucking painful at this point. Leave me alone, you guys. But Berkey was a class act for showing up.
great.
Told some great stories. He's a showman. He loves like telling a good story. Go ahead.
Show started at 8 o'clock. He was there at like 6:45,
Ready to roll,
having a few pops in the back. Brought a few of his own friends, and then right before he went on, I didn't see this. I think it was Memes and Ricky Carlson said there's a mirror, and then he just gives it one last slick black, crushes the rest of his beer, and then came out. Showtime.
And he came out. I think the tune was the Darth Vader music when he walked out to the stage.
Yeah.
But we came out and. Luckily, our other live show, the one in Chicago, the mics didn't work. The one in Dallas was at a bar, so it was just normally lit. This was an actual theater. So I didn't understand when you come out, you don't see anything. All you see is black. You can't see one person's face, which made me so much more comfortable. It was like, oh, this is amazing. You really felt like it was just us on stage. At the end of the show, the lights turn on. Packed house, standing room only, had to be 1,000, if not a little bit more, and they're going nuts, celebrating with us and cheering us on. So the fact that we didn't have to see everyone made the show, I think, a little easier for all of us, and I guess that's a known thing.
I feel like I couldn't even hear them either. It's like, it's like
we were yelling over each other.
It's like Sid when you're getting yelled at on the Jumbotron, you just block out the sound. But a cool thing too, I brought a bunch of people, Kevin Acklin of the Penguins too, thank them for all their help as well, and Mark Recchi was there in my group. And the Hall of Famer, the Wrecking Ball, came down on the stage and was like hanging out with us. And we probably should have kept him up there.
I know.
Wow, about 10 minutes in, I don't think we didn't want to get him canceled. He might be looking for a job. So
and also is like that wasn't like planned at all. We're like, you guys were like, Rex, get down here, and I was like talking. All of a sudden, Rex pops up on the side of the stage. I'm like, holy God, he's down here. This is awesome. So it was quite the crew. I had like 40 people, I think, that we accommodated to get in as well, and a full party bus, and it was off the hook. The theater was awesome.
Yeah, that's a great spot.
Like a big globe top roof, like old school theater, balcony wrapped around the
library
top.
too. The bar was in the library.
Yeah.
You went out into the hallway. It was unbelievable.
It was such a
really?
cool venue.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
We didn't make our way over there, obviously. We're big
we had our
dogs.
own drinks.
We're in the back.
Everybody was drinking. There was supposed to be no booze in the theater.
Well,
I
people
heard
were-
story. Oh, I snuck a 12-pack of Big Deal Brew in. People were mangled.
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
that pretty much like summarizes the whole weekend. We did already mention that we ended up going to McFadden's. We had some bubble hockey there. I want to make this bubble hockey a thing.
I saw on social media because I was working the game that night. I was between the
Things have
benches.
changed.
Did you lose to Bugsy? I saw
Bugsy's nasty.
Murls has been
Bugsy.
dethroned.
I said I'm the Wayne Gretzky. Well,
think you were tired?
Biz called me the Wayne Gretzky of bubble hockey. Bugsy goes, then I'm the Mary Lemieux of bubble hockey. and he dusted me.
Some guys just have it all, eh,
He-
Murls?
yeah, like he has everything. He couldn't just let me have bubble hockey. He took that from me. But he's nasty. He scores all his goals with his D-man.
Yes.
And I couldn't stop him.
Yeah, he goes up.
Every goal was his
So
D-man.
when you bring the D-man with the puck up, you try to fire it to that middle guy.
And then
he
do a
just
slam
fires
dunk.
it from there. And even if your sticks are so close together where only a pass gets through, he shoots it through there. Left. Murls moved the goalie to the left. He goes to the right. He was like a wizard. I will say it was a best of 7 series. In game 2, Murls, you won.
I was up 1-0 game 1.
Yeah.
I won game 1, and then in game 2, I scored. It hit the back and came out. I would have been up 2-0 in game 2.
That doesn't count?
They didn't
Mental
want to
midget.
count it.
It's got to drop down the hole.
Just
Mental
like real
midget.
hockey, that momentum swung right there, and I never had a chance again.
Oh, let's talk about another momentum swing. $500 game between Witt and Grinelli.
Oh, I got to pay you. Oh, my God.
Grinelli called him out. I'm like, okay, he's going to get dusted and embarrass himself, and Witt's probably just going to blue light him and not collect a cent. Well, 0-0 goes all the way to the dying seconds. Witt ends up scoring a goal. He thinks the time's done. I think some goon from the crowd yelled out, "It's over! It's over!" So Witt starts,
you yelled it's over. So I started.
You were yelling, "Overtime!
He
Overtime!"
wins. And so I scored and naturally went crazy. I think I was flipping off Grinelli in his face and I was going nuts. All of a sudden, I hear a commotion. I turn around. I was walking away. He had pressed the button, so it came up with 1 second to go, which means you have to score. Like you have to win
Next
2-0, or if it's tied, then you keep going. And G tied it up, and then I buried it on myself, an own goal in overtime to lose 500 to Grinelli.
Double or nothing at the next one, like you said. I'll take
Fair
that.
enough.
Double
Yeah, I
or
haven't
nothing
paid
at the
him
next
yet.
one.
What's it
double
like
nothing.
when you guys are doing that? Because I just saw, I wasn't there, like I was working, but like
your back
there's-
seizes up.
There's you're
But it's worth
standing,
it.
but there's so many people gathered around. Is it just insanity?
It's awesome.
Oh yeah, a guy was
I
breathing
wanna-
his
I
new
wanna-
Because that's a big
breath
bar.
all over me.
McFadden's, where you guys went, is a big bar.
Yeah, I want to get it to a point where we're doing tournaments where we have entry fees. Like, obviously, we're going to implement Bugsy a little bit more too with Chiclets, et cetera, because
Yeah.
he's got tons
Got
of
to.
stories and just a great guy to bring on these trips for morale. But maybe implement some charity where the sign-in fee all goes
Yeah.
to charity, and then we get like a professional league going, and then who knows, maybe you do a door prize where the guy who wins gets to play against whoever the Chiclets top dog is at that point. So probably either Murls or Bugsy, and you do like a $500 door prize if he ends up beating him. Cold hard cash.
Unreal.
Cold hard
Chiclets
cash.
bubble hockey circuit. That's a
Yeah.
thing.
Oh.
All right, guys, before we go any further, I quickly want to talk to you about men's league sweaters. If you're involved with a youth hockey association, you're going to want to hear about this. You know one of the worst things about youth hockey? Generic, dusty, outdated team jerseys and apparel. And instead, picture this. Your parents, your players, your whole entourage head to toe in elite matching gear at the rink and all over town. The extra bounce in your step it gives you, looking like a team, professional and dressed well, and that's what Men's League Sweaters does. Vibing like a swagged out squad rolling through the Olympic Village. And guess what? You can. Introducing Rockwell Hockey. They're bringing the quality and style of the pros to your hockey association. Custom jerseys, hockey bags, apparel. Everything your team needs to hit the ice, gym, and road in style. From the team that brought you Men's League Sweaters, who we have partnered with for years, you got to visit rockwellhockey.com/chiclets and enter to win a free custom team hockey bags.
Unbelievable. But yeah, I was working the game. I got to do my first between the benches for the Penguins that night too.
Yeah, that went well.
I missed. I thought it went really well until I hogtied myself with a cord in the box as I jumped out. So they wanted me to jump out into this like area that's like this big. So I was closer to Jake Gensel to interview him at like 10-minute mark of the first period. And I saw you guys jumped on it obviously right away. The Penguins put it out there right away too, which was hilarious. But I don't know what happened from my headset. Then I'm working with, they wanted me on a mic like this too. And somehow it like got around I wrapped my foot. So I get over, I'm in a tight ass suit. I'm down. My one leg is up. My other leg's down. I'm doing like a hurdler's thing. Then it's wrapped around my knee, my foot, my leg, and it's coming up through my crotch. And it's like when I try to put my leg down, it's like ripping my headset down. I can't move. And then I'm trying to reach.
You dummied yourself.
Sorry. I'm trying to reach to get it off, and I can't now because I'm unflexible. I'm horrible. I'm in a bad position. Jake Gensel, who had the night of his life, like star of the game, goal and assist, him and Sid are on fire, takes his glove off, just reaches in, unravels this like Boy Scout knot off of my leg and saves
sober
the
up,
day.
Armstrong.
I know. I was just like, I got to get some lessons on how to avoid all these cords in there. But that went out. It was awesome. It was a great experience being down there.
Jake Gensel.
Yeah, big old Jakey boy.
Just ribs and dick, that guy. ribs and dick and goal scoring.
Goal scored.
How about that saucy throw over?
Oh
Sid?
my
He's
God.
fucking nasty, man.
I'll tell you what, being down there, it's been a long time, and we can all speak to this. Being ice level is the coolest thing ever. If you feel like you're literally in the game. Oh yeah, well, when that happened, Corey Perry leans over. He goes to me. He goes, "You ain't what you used to be, eh, bud?" He's sitting right here, and I'm like, I said something to him. He couldn't hear me. He leans forward. I go, "Yeah, because I got a huge boiler now." And he's like, "Oh!" He flies back in his seat. Corey Perry just chirping the guy on TV. He doesn't stop. But it was
faster is the game too.
So, buddy,
it's
the
nuts.
second period of that game was like boom, 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 back and forth. Crazy. Too many men on the ice penalty for Tampa. Too many long changes. Too many men on the ice for Pitt later. It was just like, it was no whistles, like going like crazy. And to be on the ice when Sid scored that goal from Jake, like you mentioned, I'd be down there to see that, like be right there. My angle was like perfect as he tucked it around and slid in the boards. It was just like, I haven't been down there. It's been years since I've seen, Sid score from that angle. So it was like, it's electric. It's like you're playing again. I mean, you guys.
I know.
How many games will you be doing in between?
I'm going to be
benches?
doing 11 games this year, so I've got 10 left here.
Nice.
And then we'll see with TNT, as I worked with you a little bit too in the playoffs.
We're going to
buddy,
get to that in a few minutes because we
Yeah.
have the banner raising and everything. Quickly though, you're working with them. I know you're on the payroll, but this team is it looks like they're special, and they will be getting past the first round. Since when was the last time when they won their second cup of the back-to-back?
Yeah, it's been. I think it's been tough for them. I mean, even last year, I thought they had a command on the series against the Rangers. Injuries to a couple goalies, and Sid obviously got injured. Raquel got knocked out. So I think health is a big thing for this team, but I don't think they're getting like enough credit for what they are this year with bringing back Gino and Letang. Gino has camp. Sid has camp. Sid has wrist injury last year to start the season as well and missed camp or part of it. And they got their horses. They've got their depth. They've done a good job of bringing in other guys like Ruda and Petrie, who you guys met after the game the other night too. I just think if they can stay healthy and Jari can be in all-star form as he has the last few years, they're going to make a lot of noise this year. And so far, a great start for them.
It seemed like a lot of people this trip have been saying Gino is more motivated than ever
awesome
this year.
I think he
on the
was.
gas?
I think Rob Rossi had an article with The Athletic about Gino being a little pissed off in a sense of like challenging himself. I think he knows he's got one more monster year, maybe more, but I think he's looking at this year as to remind everyone how great he is, because you get older. I mean, I think Gino's 37 now, 36. And
Well, I mean, you don't know what the Russians.
36.
The passport
True, he could be
situation.
That's very true. But he's now like finally healthy, like Army mentioned, and he's driven, and I think that's going to kind of show through in how dominant he can be.
And it all goes back to the birthday cake, in which I thought it was his son's birthday cake. Then in the locker room when we were shooting the shit with him, come to find out, he's like, no, that's my cake. So he put the fourth cup on there, and then Witt's like, well, like what's with the deal with like the Lion King thing? He goes, I'm the lion.
Yeah, I'm king.
Me the king. Me the king.
I'm the king, is that what he said?
Me the king of the jungle.
Yeah, he's a beauty. And I think, too, you said, him personally, that he can come back and be this guy, because he missed camp. I mean, he had massive knee surgery, and his year was up and down, contract hanging over his head. Is he going to be back? He's been there his whole life, him and Letang both. But I think those three know that they got one more cup run in them, and I think that's what like really energizes those guys and the team.
I feel like they feel they owe it to the team for bringing them back too.
Yeah.
Like said, I want those guys back. They're all like, all right, we owe them. Like we're really got to go for it this year.
They'll be dangerous this year.
All right, it's time to get into regular season hockey. We started things off. Well, things started off with the ESPN broadcast where they had the New York Rangers and Tampa Bay Lightning in night one. Shesterkin right back to his old self, standing on his head. The following night, Wednesday, we kicked things off with TNT. The first game, I tell you what, I had a lot of doubts with this Boston team, especially with their injuries, getting a little bit older. The Czech Mafia is off to a hot start. Pasta in a contract year. He had an incredible first game. He's kind of
looked
looking
ridiculous against the Capitals.
Yeah.
He was unstoppable out there.
Krejci too, though. Krejci looks incredible as well.
Yep. I really kind of had my doubts on the Bruins, and I I think they're going to be a lot better than I gave them credit for. What we mentioned was getting through these injuries early in the year, but so far so good. Granted, one of the games was against the Coyotes, right?
You also said in your season preview that you wouldn't be shocked if they made a run at the Eastern Conference.
No, I think I think it's kind of similar to Pittsburgh without having that high level of players, right? I mean, like Bergeron's an amazing all-timer, Marchand's awesome. They haven't really accomplished what this Penguins core has, but it's similar of like, this is kind of it. It's probably even more it for the Bruins this year because they're all on one-year deals, being Bergeron and Krejci and stuff, and who knows with Pasta. And the Pittsburgh guys are signed a little long-term, but this is kind of it for them, I think, and they got a chance to do a major run. It's all about health. It really is. You can talk about any single team. It's about staying healthy and getting lucky. There's more luck that goes into it than anyone understands.
So that was the appetizer, and then the big game on deck was the banner raising with Colorado, in which the NHL put it on a tee for them, playing against the Rockford Ice Hogs. Few things happened in the broadcast. One, Jackie Redmond teed up Patrick Kane. He took a shot at me. I thought we were boys. All of a sudden, me and Showtime, we were going at each other on the broadcast. I said that they were going to get pumped 7-1. I was close, but
what did he say about you?
Yeah, what did he say?
No, it was all in jest. It was just a joke. I think Jackie Redmond teed him up for like trying to pump the panel's tires, and he was like, "Yeah, but there's one guy who's a bit of a clown." And he didn't specify who, but I think we all know who
low hanging fruit. Right,
sorry, talk.
He must be talking with Brett Hall. They got the fucking clown chirps coming at me. And then later on the broadcast, one of the topics is I think it was between the second and third about Colorado repeating. Obviously, the big question mark being at second line center with Newhook trying to fill the void of what Kadri brought. Going to be very difficult because Kadri touches so many areas of the ice. But the other area I brought was they were thinking, how do you think they address goaltending? Where I said, I don't think that goaltending was that spectacular for them in playoffs. Like, they had average goaltending, and I was explaining that.
Oh my God.
What do you mean?
The greatest line ever. Keep going. Oh my
no,
God. I was watching. This was like unbelievable.
Why don't I play it here, Biz?
Play it. Gretzky put me in a pretzel.
We saw what Kemper did in playoffs last year, a .902 save percentage. That's pretty average.
He was average over the course of the whole, but he had some moments where he was pretty good.
That's fine. He had some moments. That's fine. Him and Francouz together, they average a .904 save percentage. I mean, you could go find goalies around the league who can stop the puck that much.
Stats are for losers.
Okay, let me put that on. Should I just walk off the panel?
You asked Rick Tucker. Grant Fuhrer, if it was 5-5, he wasn't letting that 6th goal in. It's how the goals and the time you let them in. If you make big key saves, that's way more important than stats. I don't care what anybody says. And yeah, we look at statistics and all that goes with that. But it's the guy who makes the big save when the game's on the line, and Kemper proved that he could do that last year.
I mean, that's how old school this guy is, and how can you fucking argue with him? He's won 4 cups, and he won them with Grant Fuhrer, and it's about timely saves. So I thought that everybody probably got a chuckle out of that one on national television.
Well, that went viral.
It's more the panic of like anytime Gretzky disagrees with anything you say, you're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what
how do you handle that? What do you feel like when you?
I wanted to walk off this. I even said it. I'm like, fuck, I should just take a loser lap here. I put another L on my forehead.
It's so funny seeing you guys sit next to each other there, but that's the ultimate line, right? Stats are for losers, Biz.
Stats are for losers.
From Gretz. Like,
coming from the guy with the best stats
ever.
Yeah. So that was a fun moment on the broadcast. But overall, it was fun being back in the saddle with those guys. It was a fun night. Did you guys get a chance to watch the banner raising with the lead singer from Blink-182 coming out?
I did, and what I noticed was I don't think I've ever seen it before. Was Jack Johnson?
Yeah.
In the Blackhawks uniform out there. No, he won the Stanley Cup 100%. It's just I've never seen that before. I'm not saying he shouldn't have by any means. It was just interesting to see a guy in a Blackhawks jersey who knew he was about to get pumped into oblivion and once the game started, arm in arm with his brothers for life, watching that banner get raised.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Pretty cool moment that he got to be in the building even though he wasn't on the team anymore. But Colorado, like Makar, and you'll hear in this McKinnon interview coming up some crazy words about Cale Makar, but that game, he broke somebody's ankle early in the first, kind of at a fake up top. It's just, it's so fun watching that guy play hockey, and it was no different that night.
They approach it just like Sid and Letang. It's most of the times when Sid's on the ice, Letang's there. They're all in unison. They're bottom cycles, the one where they filter up top, and it's just this well-oiled machine where you just got to kind of stay in the middle and just pray that they don't fucking score on you when they're cooking.
Yeah, I mean, no, like just the skating, the power, the ferociousness of both of those players, but like the smoothness also. It's like a combination between, and then they're complementary guys too. Like you got Landeskog and Rantanen and all these guys hooked onto the machine that make it all work. I mean, it's what they have and the luxury they have when you have a McKinnon and a Makar that can do special things.
And how about the fact that they're all signed? They're all signed long term. It's like, I know baseball's a different sport, but the Atlanta Braves, everyone talks about, they have like 8 core guys signed for 6-7 years. You look at Colorado, they're all locked up, and so they're not going anywhere. And Kadri looks amazing so far with the Flames.
He does.
A beauty goal the other night in the Battle of Alberta. Calgary came out on top, so they're missing him, but they still have such a wagon. It's going to be
we might as well go there then. They had Witt 2.0 on the
couldn't
point.
believe how much. I'm just catching
Kadri.
shrapnel all over the place.
Arches. He's got the Witt arches.
Who was that on D?
I think it was Kulik or Kulak.
Yeah, it was Kulak, and all of a sudden I must have had 100 tweets. Witt's back in the lineup. He just blew a tire.
Kadri, not known for his skating,
he was flying there.
He was flying there, and I mean, he must have thought it was McKinnon coming at him or McDavid, or the way he was doing panic crossover. He was like, oh my god!
Or he put his skates on the wrong foot. That's kind of the way.
Or he had those old Easton terrible buckets I had on for one game and couldn't cross over. But that was an ugly loss for the Oilers. They did come back a little bit, but
let's dive into McDavid quick because it looks like he's determined to win a scoring title and
another one.
Well, no, goals. Excuse me, a Rocket Richard. I don't believe he's ever won a Rocket Richard. And wait, when you came in the one year, I remember you ended up losing a bet to Talbot, probably because Talbot was skating with him in the offseason. He goes, I bet you Sid gets 50 this year. Because I think it was known early on that Sid was always a pass-first mentality. And at a certain point, you have to add both to your bag. And when you do that, that's when you kind of get to that even next level. Not saying that there is a next level for McDavid because it's fucking nuts what he's been doing, but in that first game, hat trick. I think he's one of the only active players to have hat tricks in an opening night a game.
Multiple, right?
Multiple hat tricks in opening night. What point wise, where do you see this guy getting through this year? And obviously, do you think he can win the scoring title, or do you think he even cares to?
I don't. I'm hesitant to say if he cares to, not knowing him, but the greats, they kind of want to have it all at some point. And Crosby's got, I think, 2 Rocket Richards maybe. Ovechkin has him. It's probably in his blood to have a little bit of that drive to, I want that one too. Now, all he cares about is Cup. Go ahead, G.
I was going to say, there's an article in The Athletic this year that Draisaitl was interviewed before the season, and he said that he told McDavid that he expects nothing less than 60 goals from him this season.
Holy shit, didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's my squad. At the same time, he's such a great passer, and he is looking to pass first. What you mentioned about Sid was, not only did I think he want to become more of a shooter, his shot got better. It wasn't just like he was a pass-first guy with the same shot. Over a couple summers early in the career, it was that much better. It was that much quicker and harder. So McDavid, I think, is similar. The issue being when he's controlling the puck on the power play, he's so good at giving guys tap-ins, and he has Leon, who is a top 3 goal scorer in the league, so he's not going to really look him off that much. So if he doesn't win a Rocket Richard, I wouldn't be shocked, but I still think like he's going to be gunning for it. The thing is right now about him, I think he's 25, right around there. This is straight up prime. The next 5 years and what he's done already, to just know that he's coming into it now, I think he's getting 150 points one of these years.
Oh yeah.
I really do.
Oh, yeah. It could be this year. Could easily be this year. But I said, and I caught some heat from your boy Hazy that came on the live stream in the playoffs this year. I said, I'd like to see him shoot more. And I thought I saw that in the first couple games. Yes, he's still doing his under the stick, through the skates, like no one else can do it like he does it. But I also saw him come in and do like Ovechkin style, where the D has a stick out and he shot it past him. And I think a lot of D back in. And I think we're going to start seeing him. If he's going to want to hit those... I mean, how many goals could he probably have? 80 goals every year, we could say, with the amount of chances he gets. But for him to use his shot a little bit more, he said I was an idiot. You're telling this guy but I think he could get into positions where he could shoot more and I think drive up those goal scoring numbers because he can shoot the puck too.
I want to go back to that first game. He picked up 3 goals and an assist. Got his 700th point in his 488th game. 6th fastest player to ever reach 700 points. Of course, we got 99-66. Peter Stastny, Bossy, and Yari Curry were the top 5.
That's nuts. And I said in the car the other day with all of us, he could get 2,000 points. Think about it. I mean, like he's gonna get the next 600 possibly quicker. This is all health, right? This is all health related. Then all of a sudden he's got 1,400, and you're laughing. You're like, dude, he's not gonna get another 600 over the course.
You do
of
it in
this.
a rocking
like,
chair.
I think it's a realistic number. It sounds wild to say now, but the point production is just so ridiculous, and he's not slowing down. That's for sure.
Guys, before we go any further, I need to talk to you about Chevy. That's right. The Spittin Chiclets podcast has a car sponsor. From Bolt to Blazer, Equinox to Silverado, Chevy EVs are for everyone, everywhere. That's where the world is going. Electric vehicle models, all right? They are affordable. You don't have to be rich to have an EV. All-star capability on a rookie's budget. With an established full-line brand like Chevrolet, we can offer multiple EV vehicles with the volume, variety, and value of customers all over the world have come to expect. Need space for the whole team to be comfortable, or want an affordable, fun EV that can go the distance? Over 2,000 certified EV dealerships, along with growing network of public charging stations to help you live electric. Finally, charging won't put you in the penalty box. Get it? It's a hockey podcast. We're making jokes and jokes and jokes. Chevy, we love you, and we're happy that you're changing the world by changing to electric. So check out Chevy and all their amazing new vehicles hitting the market. I glanced over the rings. The Colorado Avalanche received their rings the day before the banner raising. Just quickly, what'd you guys think? Do you think they're getting too obnoxious with the kind of the drop in the nuts on the pass winners with the amount of diamonds and just how much bling bling? You think it's kind of an
huge. How do you wear them?
That's the thing. I don't really know if you
on
can.
A chain around your neck. That's how I would do it, like a pendant.
But it was cool how they opened
the
box, and it was the announcement of them winning the cup from their announcer, and like a video of them coming off the bench and hugging. Now I'd never seen that before. The rings, that is what it is now. At some point, it's just going to be like a hand medallion. You can't keep getting much bigger.
I think we should talk about the Leafs. Tough first game. They end up losing to Montreal. The reason I wanted to specifically mention it was to give a double wrister to Martin St. Louis, and obviously what he's done with Caulfield. The young guys there. Suzuki looked unbelievable. What, you like the double wristers? The mascara. That's kind of how we do things around here. Just a fucking bukkake special for Martin St. Louis. There was a key moment in the game, though. Very exciting back and forth, especially in that third period. So they score a goal to go ahead 3-2. Then right after, Nylander ends up burying one where the play looked to be offside. And sometimes you see coaches maybe hit the panic button, take the video coach's word for it, and make the call. And then if they're wrong, then all of a sudden Toronto not only ties it, but they're back on the power play with 2 minutes left. I don't know if I just haven't been watching enough hockey, but St. Louis calls the timeout, his own timeout. He gets a full minute and a half, however long they get, in order to look down at the monitor and see the replay over and over and over. It was a 50-50. It could have very well been called back, but obviously with looking over again, he's like, I'm not going to give these guys the momentum after just scoring and the chance to end us. Well, sure as shit, he makes a right call, and then Josh Anderson ends up scoring with 30 seconds left in the game, and they get off to a hot start. And a team who probably people don't have many expectations for coming to the season, but they're working their balls off. Kirby Dach has looked excellent. I mean, you could go to the analytics community for that one. They're saying his like possession time and what he's doing in order to drive the bus. But talk about a coach who has really had a big impact on these younger guys early in his tenure with the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, it's a year of kind of rebuilding, but seeing Caulfield and Suzuki and these younger guys light it up, it'll be a fun team to watch. I loved how Detroit gave him a beating. Murley's Detroit team looks great. Are they over 80 points this year?
84.5
points is a future Murls had prior to the year beginning. Leafs land, though, wow.
Couple gutsy wins.
Yeah. Gutsy wins, but more than anything, Matt Murray. And honestly, I feel so bad for him because of what he's been through, and it happens in a pregame skate, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. To lose him for a month, it just sucks because the guy's getting a chance. He's a starter in Toronto, and people have kind of called out the move because of his inability to stay healthy, and he gets hurt this early on. So a huge moment these next 10 games or so for Samsonov, but that's a kick in the dick for Murray to start his career with an injury that early. Start his career in Toronto, excuse me.
Absolutely, but you just mentioned it. Now it gives them the opportunity early in the season to deal with adversity, which I never think is a bad thing early in the season. And then you get to figure out what you have with this Samsonov kid. He was sharing the net last year when he was in Washington. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, this was kind of just handed to me. Hey, if he goes 500 and he's okay, you end up getting Murray back, and you basically go back to this 2-goalie system where Murray is probably the guy who does get the net when it comes down to both of them.
Well, I think it's been kind of a question mark for them for a number of years now. Like, giving Jack Campbell a chance and an opportunity, and I think the connection with him and Kyle Dubas, and then he goes and gets Murray after Campbell runs its course, and he gets Murray, who has a connection with Kyle Dubas from the OHL days as well. But I think, you look at the bigger picture, it always is like all that money up top, and they've stuck with this, vision of what this team is with, and they have to get a certain kind of goalie in there that can fit in that salary cap range. It's kind of maybe risky.
It is risky. They're relying on the most important position in the game to two guys who are.
This is why, like Nylander, when he signed, right? They were saying just get rid of that Nylander deal, and
now he's probably the best starter on the team.
I know. So it's interesting to watch them trying to operate through this and trying to do this with goaltenders that are like, I wouldn't say afterthoughts, but like not on high on the list
level goals.
Not like high on the list of like what they can fit in. So good opportunity for Samsonov to be the guy right now and try to get them through this.
Well, since you mentioned contract, let's go off the rails here. So we're going to go over to Buffalo. There's a kid on their team. I don't even know his name. That's how unprepared I am with what I know from around the league. But he's played 56 games. He had no goals, and he ends up getting a 7-year deal at $30 million.
Yeah, Matthias Samuelsson, I think.
This
Shell Samuelson's son.
This is fucking nuts.
This is fucking nuts. It is nuts to see the numbers of games played and the contract. It is. But when we talk about risk, it's a calculated risk on Kevin Adams and that entire organization thinking we are going to sign this guy to this deal, and maybe right now people will laugh.
It's horrible,
but
maybe
in
it's
2
good.
years, in 3 years, if he is what they believe that he's going to be, it's an unreal deal. So it looks so ridiculous, but the way the cap and this league works now, this is what happens. You tie up these young guys early, you hopefully save some money and look a little ridiculous at the start, only to have people look back in 4 years and say, oh my God, he's making 4.2.
It sets a Jesus Christ. It sets a bad precedent in a sense that you feel like you've been given something without actually earning it. And it's not to say that he's not a great player and he's not going to be a great player. It's just like you look at New Jersey, for instance. New Jersey's been doing this for the last 5 fucking years, and
they suck. They fucking suck. We got Pasha in the corner
over here. He's like, what's going on?
Poor Lindy Ruff, the fucking scumbag Devils fans. Fire Lindy Ruff the first game, second game. But Biz, they gave it to Heischer and they gave it to Hughes. I think everyone's.
What do you mean? They also got a D-man on their team who played less than 100 games, who got a similar deal to this kid in Buffalo.
Who is that, Pasha?
He doesn't even fucking know.
Oh yeah. He says he's one of the best shutdown guys in the league, according to Pasha.
Where's he been the first 2 fucking games? They can't even shut down the Flyers. They can't even shut down the Flyers.
Flyers are buzzing.
Flyers and Detroit Red Wings. They're 0-2 on the season. I'm telling you right now.
Dude, Devils are horrible, dude.
Buffalo and Detroit are farther along in their rebuilds than a team that's been handed first overall picks out the fucking yin-yang. Coyotes would be a contender if they got that many first overall picks, for fuck's sakes. So going to the contract talk, I just think that it really sets a bad precedent within certain organizations where there becomes no real incentive to start grinding it out and winning games.
Do you not think part of that deal is not only looking at his ceiling as a player, but also realizing, all right, I think this is a kid that we can trust in terms of not giving up his work ethic, not being satisfied, and giving him that deal knowing his personality and character is going to have him not sit back on this contract and be like, I made it, and continue to work hard. Like, that has to be part of these deals going out to these kids before they really have earned
calculated projection.
Calculated risk.
What I want to see is each GM and these types of deals they're handing out and how many end up working out and not.
I would love to see in 5 to 6 6 years, if we could pick 15 to 20 of these deals that were given to guys who hadn't played 70 or 80 games, and we'll see how many of the deals panned out and ended up being underpays and very great value versus how many are like, what were you doing there? And I think, honestly, knowing how much these guys look into future numbers, analytics, all these things, I think a lot of times you're going to see they end up being good deals. You already know Jack Hughes is probably going to be a good one, right?
Yeah, I'm not denying that one. That was a no-brainer.
There are a lot of guys. I think you look at the Tage Thompson one. Now, he had a huge year last year, but it was 1 year. I think that's going to be a good one. So it is a long game here and the play. I'm interested to see how it turns out. I'm not as down on it as you seem to be every time they're signed, though.
I think Biz just can't figure it out because he's like, I played no games.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you haven't shown me anything, and that's where I can see why you're like, how does this how do you land
56 games? I've never seen how this player deals through adversity. I've never seen this guy go on a hot streak and how he handles himself, or the opposite. That's just where I'm coming from, where I'm like, sample size wise, how the fuck do you know that you're ready to hand this guy 31 million and commit to him for 7 years when you haven't rode any type of wave with him?
That's something we should have asked Berkey about. Because I'd like to get his opinion, because he seems more like a guy who's like, prove it to me, show it to me, and then you'll be paid, whereas other GMs are looking to just save dollars down the road. But a good argument to have.
It was Samuelson, you said the kid's name
Martin
was?
Samuelson.
You hear what his agent said?
Samuelson.
You hear what his agent said to Adams? He said, stats are for a loser. He said, you're right. Sign it 7 fucking years. Thanks, Wayno.
Gretz is his agent.
Can we go quick and just mention Philly, because for all the shit talking that was done, including by me, I think I kind of tried to preface and save myself by mentioning Torts will have this team being motherfuckers to play against, and the skill level might not be there. And granted, it's been 2 games, but they are coming out guns a-blazing. Kevin Hayes looks awesome. I think he's getting tons of minutes. Torts, and maybe a worry from Kevin. Maybe I'm not going to be his style player. Seems to love his game right now, and he just has them ball. They're flying, and we knew that would happen. So you got to shout out Torts. And granted, 2 games is very minuscule, but it's nice to see for Flyers fans a little success early on.
I think they started camp with no pucks on the ice.
For like 10 days.
So like, this begs the question, like, how much is it important to have good players? I think we'd all agree it's really important. You got to have good players, you got to have depth, but also, like, how important of a factor is buy-in and, I guess, culture.
Culture is everything.
I just think it's so important, and I think, if you need that in your organization, which by all accounts they needed that in Philly, Torts has come in and grabbed everyone by the throat and been like, this is
KHL training camp.
And he called out the culture
right away.
The culture sucks here.
That's why he got the job at ESPN. He knew the job was coming, and then he just needed the airways beforehand to come in swinging, tell them they're all fucking losers and to shut down their dart league. Hey, but
it's so important, and that's what he does, though. And then he's come in there, and how long will the wave? How long will he ride the wave before, like, it kind of peters out a bit? But how important is that to build on, right? And
when I was with the Coyotes, we knew that we were going to be fighting for our lives come down the stretch every year, just based on the lineup that we had. So training camps were very difficult because you had to hit the ground running and take advantage of teams that weren't ready to go. So you talk, and we laugh about all these crazy training camps they go through, but they were battling, and they were already mid-season form in a sense of hitting the ground running.
Army, quickly, are we going to the McKinnon interview? Sorry, Biz.
We're going to be going here soon, yeah.
All right, then I just got one question because I see it in the notes here and we went by already. Army, where is Kane getting traded to in January? We keep giving our picks. I say Buffalo. Biz says the Range.
I have the Rangers.
Murls has the Rangers.
Anywhere in New York?
New York, baby.
And then Biz, what was yours?
Somebody mentioned Carolina, and then of course when I said that, somebody sent me the cap, what their cap's at and how much money they have on long-term IR. And more than likely, it's not going to make sense. But for any team who's actually competitive and has a chance to win, nobody has cap space in order to squeeze in what he's making. Yeah.
Third team.
What's that?
There'll be a third team involved. There'll be a lot of money retention. Yeah. It'll be.
That's
something
how you got to do it now.
Out.
It's going to have to be very crafty, but it's going to be very difficult to add a guy like that with his cap at the deadline. So I don't know who's going to have the opportunity to even do it. Your guess would be what?
I would like to see Buffalo. I would just like to see it. I think it'd be awesome.
But he's on the last year of his deal. And wouldn't he want to go somewhere where he can win? I don't think Buffalo's making playoffs this year. Why would he want to get traded to a non-playoff team?
I think Buffalo's better than
that would be lunacy.
I think Buffalo's okay, and I think Buffalo's trending in the right direction. I think culture-wise with their coach, it's turned around. And I think, ever since he was a kid, he was going to those games, and I think it'd be, perfect. You guys been there? Their fans are nuts. It's like here. It's like Pittsburgh. Like they're waiting for something, and he knows that it's like, he knows that it would like boost it so high through the roof in Buffalo. With what he would mean to that city, being from there, and to the organization of adding a name like that.
Especially after the Bills win the Super Bowl.
Oh my God, that's on the horizon too. There's going to be no tables left in Buffalo.
I just mentioned because Pierre LeBrun had said they were going to circle back the Hawks and Kane in January and see probably where do you want to go? What are we going to do? So just curious on that.
Before we throw it over to McKinnon, we got to talk about Matthew Tkachuk, his presence being felt in Florida early on, mixing it up with Alex Tuck when they played against Buffalo, and then as well Parise. They had a huge win against Long Island at home, then traveled to Buffalo. Just early thoughts on what you're seeing there, Dog.
Well, when I talked to him at Media Day in Vegas before the season started, and I think we've seen all of his interviews prior to everything kicking off on how excited he is and how he wanted to go there so bad, and how it, the cards were in his favor to push for that, and that team being a team that was, targeted for him. They've taken some big steps, and I think he sees like where he can add into this group, and they've got a decent core. Obviously, the big trade broke up a guy out of there, but he's going to come in there, and I'll tell you what, like he's not the prettiest guy at getting anything done.
No.
At all.
He produces though.
But he's always around it. He's always involved, and yeah, he can produce, and he can affect a game so many different ways. So
when he's not scoring, he'll rat it up. He'll
rat it up.
That's such a characteristic we talk about. If you're able to have different parts of your game when something's not going, it is what creates the elite players from the average ones, all having different weapons to affect games, and he can do it all.
Yeah, and I think that started in Florida when they made a trade for Hornquist years ago. Hornquist came in there. He was around the net, scrumming every time. He brings that he has like this energy that's
he's a piece of shit to play against.
He's hard to play against, and they had him. And as the team's kind of gotten better, it's kind of bumped Hornquist down, obviously. But I think they see value in what that can do for their group as a intangible kind of having that. So you go get a guy that can put up 100 plus points. You get a guy that plays that style of game that you can play all the time too. That's just like win-win-win for their group, and I think what they're trying to do down in Florida. So yeah, I'm excited for him just because when you talk to him, you can see the passion he has in going there and wanting to be a difference maker there and wanting to add to that group. So I think big things are coming for him this year down in South Florida.
You weren't on the last pod. We talked about the Tampa situation when they lost out in the first round after winning the President's Trophy. Do you think Zito gave up on two of his big players and hit the panic button after watching that series?
I think it's identity. And I think a lot of teams do this. I don't think we see it at the level that we saw with this trade. Look at Florida, too, after that. Who'd they go get? Goodrow, Coleman. They made a play.
You mean Tampa, sorry.
Tampa made a play lower in their lineup, and it kind of put them over the top. Here, I think he saw something to add to his, elite core group that has, those kind of things, and has made a calculated decision that that's what needs to change with their group in order to be, where they need to be for playoff hockey. And I think Tkachuk drags his team into the fire. Where I think, obviously, what's his name? Huberdeau is elite, but he doesn't have on top of it what Tkachuk can bring in those other areas. So I think he did make a decision. I think Zito did make a decision. He's like, hey, we're not giving up. We're actually going to change the way we do it a little bit so that he thinks probably better in certain situations.
Did Sutter say that he thinks that Huberdeau might be one of the best playmakers, if not the best playmaker he's ever seen other than Gretzky?
Did he say that?
I think there's
the best passer he's ever seen.
Insane.
He's a hell of a passer.
Oh,
yeah,
but that's a hell of praise from a head coach who's normally not praising guys in the lineup.
Yeah.
Time to throw it over to another superstar in the league, Nathan McKinnon. He was kind enough to join us actually the day before the season kicked off. We had an awesome 45 minutes with him. Thank him for his time. So let's send it over to the dog. This interview is brought to you by Verizon Wireless. These guys are a huge partner of the NHL, and now with the Spittin Chiclets podcast, they wanted me to mention their new Google Pixel 7 Pro, and it is amazing. It's the most advanced Pixel to date. Super powered to launch even faster, load quicker, and run smoother. Totally supercharged. And when it's on Verizon, you get the network America relies on most, guys. I've been with Verizon since I entered pro hockey. I came down to the States, my first ever cell phone in Washington, Pennsylvania, and I still have Verizon to this date. It's unreal with all their plans, even North American plans, along with even more super deals, because now when you switch to Verizon, you can get a free Google Pixel 7 Pro with select trade-ins and select 5G unlimited plans. Thank you to Verizon. We love you. And remember, there's never been a better time to switch to Verizon. And of course, visit Verizon.com for details. Thank you to Verizon Wireless. I love you, and I know the people switching over will love you too.
Well, we are psyched to get this guy back on the show. His third visit to Spittin Chiclets, 8 years after winning the Calder Trophy as the league's best rookie. He led the Colorado Avalanche in playoff goals as they won their first Stanley Cup title in 21 years. He celebrated in style with the parade in Halifax, then began the work on a second cup. And when he signed his new deal last month, he became the league's highest paid player, at least for now. It's a huge pleasure to welcome back to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, the Nate Dogg, Nathan McKinnon. How are we, my friend?
Thank you, man. I'm doing good. Yeah, doing good. Ready for hopefully get a repeat here.
The dog.
Thanks for jumping on.
Let's go.
Dog needed to eat.
The dog's back,
ate, baby.
Finally ate, man. I was hungry, and yeah, we ate, so it's all good.
Hey,
yeah,
Dog, I don't think you were coming back on Chiclets until that cup was won, correct?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear all the same shit, all the same questions. What's going on with the team? And so I'm happy we won. It's nice. I feel for, I mean, I guess guys in Toronto, I'm thinking of it, I have to answer the same things over and over about the playoffs. And obviously we're on a much smaller scale than the Leafs, but still the second round demons, we had to hear about that a lot. So really happy. Obviously that's one of the smaller reasons why, but yeah, it's been great.
I know you guys got the rings last night. They looked like those ring pops you used to get as a little kid. But what was crazy to me was the jewelry box. When you open it, the video, the guys must have shit when you saw that. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, they were saying like make sure you open at the same time, 3, 2, 1, and so they could play the cool piano music. It was pretty special. Seeing it in slow mo, guys lift the cup, celebrating it, really brought us back. It was cool. Jack Johnson was there. They flew in a little early, so we got to come, and it was cool. It was an amazing evening, and we got our banner tomorrow night, and then it's all behind us, which is good as well. I think we're ready to move on and try to chase another one.
In the viral video I saw, it seemed like, was there somebody live playing the piano there, or was that just an overlay?
No, it was just an overlay, I think. Yeah,
okay.
I didn't see that. Maybe in the back.
Yeah.
I don't think so, though.
Tickling the twine. Hey, I got to ask you though. I mean, let's just put another thing behind us. You giving the finger to my Aunt Marcia in Arizona. I know I tried texting you about it. You've been dodging me. What's the deal, man? You scarred her. I want that extra $100,000 you're making, being the highest paid guy, to go towards her bills.
I think you got enough dough, Biz. You're on top of the world. So.
Oh, yeah, not 12.6 a year. Buddy.
Okay, you got to talk to TNT.
You want to talk about top of the world after that deal you just signed, Nathan?
It was good, but Aunt Marcia, I don't know if she said something. Somebody said something foul to me, so I just gave him the finger. I was a little fired up, blood everywhere and stuff. But yeah, I feel bad. That was really funny though. That Marcia thing. She's a correctional officer, so she does have a bit of a potty mouth. So I guess we could kind of squash it now. We'll call it even. Yeah. Maybe season tickets for the Abs and including playoff tickets for this year's run, and then we'll squash it all. I think that's super fair. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And going back to the deal, was it you or the agent who specifically asked for the $100K raise on the highest paid guy in the league?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into too many details, but that's just kind of where we ended up. Pat wanted that, I think, bad. I didn't really care. It's funny how it looks. It looks like I'm super petty, but I'm not sitting here thinking I'm better than 97 or anything. Just how it worked out, and where the cap hopefully goes here shortly. And yeah, I think it's I think it's a good deal for both sides. And yeah, I'm excited that it's over with. I don't have to play out the year. Thinking about it.
I was going to say, I didn't know the agents would have a little battle like this. He's probably bragging about it more than anybody else.
Yeah, it's more for Pat. We'll just say that. Yeah.
Why? All right, you didn't think agents had egos?
Well, not to the point where they would care more about the final number than the players. But that's funny to hear.
No, I'm kidding. Nate Dogg, I have another question for you. Are you aware that Biz and I have won 4 sandbaggers in a row, and they're 9-4 overall since this all began, and we dusted you and Sid back in the day?
Man, I'd love to do that again. I would love to.
We hear that, but then we hear that maybe the cup celebrations got in the way. So you let us know.
That was great, man. It's funny how, like, do I not get a cut for inventing the name of everything? Like,
that's a valid argument. Biz already has a lawyer for that.
I'm gonna log off now. You guys can continue the rest of this.
Like, come on, guys. What the fuck? I see the Sandbagger Invitational. No, it's great, though. I watch all those videos, and it's fun, man. It's fun. Who'd you guys play last? Like, it was a month ago or so? Who was that? Was that Barzell or?
No. The Islanders won't allow their players
That's a
to
touchy
interact
subject.
with the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Me and Lou got a bit of a riff going on.
Okay.
It might have been me saying that he was hanging out in the south of France and his Mankini that brought it over the top. But
I'm not getting involved in this. No, I don't want to piss off.
Okay, we could drop.
Move on from that.
We had a Poso and Matt Molson on the last one, and then they actually brought their kids on. So we're trying to incorporate these like different style of holes, and maybe moving forward, we're going to add the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. What would you call the
I like I like we said, if you win a hole, you take one of the guys' clubs out of their bag, and then you get real crazy if you can win a couple holes in a row.
Yeah, that would be cool. Or just you play like driver, 7-iron, putter.
Yeah, pick a couple clubs.
That'd be fun too. Yeah, you guys could get creative, I guess. But no, that was I mean, we just kind of played that round, just like.
I know we had Biz ambushed you.
Like, no, but like, I don't know if you guys really thought it would blow up like that, but we certainly didn't.
I'm glad I went against everything that Crosby said to not come on the golf course with a camera crew, and then we had Pasha jump out of the bushes, hole 3, and Sid's such a nice guy
like,
in devil's underwear.
It was like, what is this?
Hey, well, speaking of Sid, I know you were on 32 Thoughts talking about how wasted he was at the cup party. That's one guy that I'm sure was probably the happiest guy on the planet for you, given everything that you'd been through and training all those years with him and seeing how much you wanted to follow in his footsteps in winning some cups. I
just think that's what it's all about. You know, I was firsthand watching him win cups, going to his parties, everything like that. And I think we just wanted it so bad, man. And I know he was super happy for me. You know, I don't think he is happy for many people when they win the cup other than himself and his teammates, but I could tell, you know, he's really, really happy for me, proud of me. He's kind of like an older brother in a sense, you know, 8-9 years older than me. So it's great. I mean, I have the, you know, best training partner of all time, and I get to learn a lot, and it was special to share that moment with him. You know, him being on the cup 3 times. So,
does he have to train at your brand new gym now that you have the Stanley Cup under your belt, or are you still going to his old crusty gym in Halifax?
Oh yeah, he still hasn't stepped foot in my gym. This guy's gym is from '02. Yeah, it needs some renovations, but yeah, it's still a joke. It's still a joke, but I'm working on it.
He said he outlasted you at your own cup party. Is that accurate?
That is true. That is true. I know. He did. He shut down the ale house, which isn't an early night. I think him and Troy shut it down together. So that's great.
No slight at all to Denver, but it looked like the parade at home was the same size. I don't know if that's accurate, but what an insane experience that must have been to get to do it twice, right?
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't expect it to be like that either. And Sid did his parade, I think, 3 times in Cole Harbour, where we're both from. And I played junior in Halifax, and I figured I might as well try it there. And it was crazy. A lot of Moosehead fans, a lot of Avalanche fans, and brought some of my buddies up on the fire truck with me. And yeah, we had a great time. So it was great.
How do you even create a guest list for like your cup party? Like, was it insane? Did you keep it pretty tight knit group? Like how many people ended up showing up to your personal party?
It was tight. Yeah. I had 2 nights with it. I flew it in from Helmer in Detroit, and I got it around 1. And then I think the first night was like 40, 45 people at my house, which was pretty good. And then the second night was like 130. But I heard some of the boys had like 300, 350. And I'm like, that's a fucking nightmare. Like that's a lot of pictures and a lot. The one thing you don't know when you win the cup and when you do is how sore your forearms are. And I had a fucking cut on my right hand from holding the like the top of the mug, and because you're pouring drinks in people's mouths all night, and it's awesome, but man, are you sore? It's crazy.
By the time it's all said and done, they take it away, you're a little bit relieved.
Yeah, kind of, because you just enjoy the night now with everyone, because it's bad to say, but it's like you have it for like 12 hours straight carrying around, which is awesome, but it's just like, okay, you can take it now. I'm good. I've had my fun.
Any RAs hanging around that like straggled into the party that weren't welcome that you had to pigeon toss?
Yeah, a couple
got invited this year.
Weaseled the way in, yeah. A couple guys snuck in, so we had to get rid of them.
Oh, how many teammates parties did you make? I mean, RA hit up New Hooks, but I didn't know if you traveled around, experienced different guys.
I didn't know. Cogs and Landy came to my party in Halifax, though, which was great. They had some donaires and some keys, and they had a great time. So it was good to have them.
Did you do anything small? Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, Cogliano told me he was chirping City. He still drives the same truck there, right?
Oh,
that's 20 years. Cog said he's had the thing.
It's pushing. Yeah, I think it's like 15, 16 years. This
the tech said
he's a lunatic.
Not the same Range Rover that's silver, is it?
I think he might. I think he got rid of that a couple of years ago. But in the summer, he's got this big SUV he's had for like 15 years now, and isn't it? Yeah, like a Suburban or Tahoe or something. But yeah, this guy is he's a lunatic.
He's like Warren Buffett.
He's got big dad energy, but no kids yet. Just driving around this Suburban, carrying everyone around.
He does got some dad energy for sure. Hell yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask, did you do anything maybe like we didn't see online with the cup? Maybe eat something out of it, drink something out of it, do something unusual that we weren't aware of?
Well, not really, man. I wasn't a big eating out of the cup kind of guy. I don't know why. I just thought some of the stuff guys would eat, I thought was a little ridiculous, and they just did it for the likes on the gram, and I wasn't about that. So I drank beer, wine, tequila. I just drank out of it mostly, and yeah, that's kind of what I went with.
Well, let's go back to when you guys ended up getting upset and beat by Vegas. Like, was there anything that did you end up having a meeting with Sakic? Like that summer must have been hell for you, and having to wear that and live with that the entire way. Did anything change from your training regimen perspective? Like maybe getting the guys together on a group chat and keeping each other even more accountable? Like what had to happen in order to get to the level in which you guys got to last year?
Yeah, I would say it actually went a little bit the other way. We were intense as ever, but I think the one great thing we did last year was we moved on from losses really well. Against Vegas, we lost 4 in a row, and it was from being crazy intense and, you lose one and you kind of hang on to it. You don't flush it down the toilet because sometimes you have a bad night, and that's all it is. You don't have to look into it more than you just had a shitty night, and you'll wake up tomorrow, maybe you'll have a great night. And I think that was the biggest thing we learned. I know it's kind of cliche, but the more even kill you can stay in the playoffs, because it's a roller coaster. You want to win so bad, and you're so emotionally invested. But what we did great, we flushed games down the toilet, moved on, and I think we brought in some good veterans like Helmer, Cogs, and we're all older now. It's my 10th year. Gabe 12, EJ, Miko, Kale, like just a really tight, mature group. That we're open speaking with each other, and that was our recipe for sure. We didn't lose back-to-back games. We had like 10 comeback wins, like just really resilient.
Nate, I know you guys rolled through the cup 16-4, never trailed in a series, but was there any point where Bedsy kind of had to like reel you in or like kind of snappies at all? Was it just kind of smooth sailing the whole 20 games?
No, it wasn't smooth. It might have looked smooth, but yeah, I remember, but when we lost game 5 to St. Louis, but I was referring to the second round demon thing. We're up 3-0. I think we're up 4-1 and we lose in OT. And that was hard. That was very, very hard. And went into St. Louis, and you know, that's a tough building to win in, and they've won a cup in St. Louis. It got that Oregon going or whatever it is, and it's tough there. And we got a win there. Helmer scored with like 2 seconds left, but we really outplayed them, I thought. And that was a big game for us. Jumping ahead a little bit to the Tampa series, we lose Game 5 at home against Tampa, and I think losing against St. Louis got us ready to go into Game 6 against Tampa and win, because that was miserable. I remember biking after the game, just miserable. You know, the cup's in the building. You're thinking we could be celebrating right now. We just lost. So that was hard, but we kind of use all those experiences for the better and try to make the best out of the situations, that happens.
Wait, if I could just quickly go back to the even keel comment. Now, was there something in the summertime you did off the ice in order to like work on that? Like, you're such a fiend when it comes to the training, the meal situation. Was there like a mental coach that you had to work with in order to, like, after games when you are fired up, because that, maybe that is who you are to the core, in order to like maybe do exercises post game, like breathing, in order to maybe calm that shit down?
Yeah, I just think it's a long process of that. I've been working with a mental coach for 6 years now, I think 5-6 years, ever since I kind of took off with my career. So just a lot of learning along the way, but I think it was a lot of experience as well. We've lost 3 times in the second round in a row, and we realized something wasn't working. And I think just that resilience and that persistence and being even keel was lacking in those runs. For our group, at least, we're pretty, I'd say we're a pretty loose group, but we practice hard. We hold each other to a high standard, but there's a fine line I think we found, and it worked.
Is that when you snapped on Kale McCarr?
Leave him alone. No, he's good. He can do what he wants.
I got to go back to Game 5, the brutal loss you talk about against St. Louis. At the time, you don't even care. I can obviously tell how upset you were. But looking back now, I mean, it's a hat. You get the hat trick to make it 4-3 with one of the best end-to-end goals I can ever remember in playoff hockey. Is that the best goal of your career?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the time it was. I'm thinking it's over.
Yeah, I did it.
Moving on. Yeah. Some of the goals they were scoring were crazy bounces. It was like the hockey gods were like, you need to be tested more than winning in 5. And but yeah, that was a cool goal. Just kind of flowing, and you're not even thinking out there. It was a great game. But yeah, I was just going back to that. It was just the message after that game. It's supposed to be hard, it's supposed to be grueling and gut wrenching and emotional and sad, happy. It's a lot of things that go into it that people might not really realize. I know make a lot of money and all that stuff, but we're just big kids at the end of the day that want to win and put our hearts into it. And yeah, it was a big test for us.
And I would imagine that was probably the most emotionally grueling series, the St. Louis one, especially with when it went on with the Kadri water bottle gate, trying to kind of keep all the outside noise out.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think that was Game 4, I think, going into that, when Nas had a hat trick himself. And yeah, they could make a movie about that whole situation. We had like crazy security. There was like 4 or 5 big policemen, but I think they're undercover policemen on our bench in warm-ups, because there are all these threats to Nas, and the security and the death threats and the racial slurs against Nas and talking about his daughter. And it was fucking crazy, man. And he came out at 3-1. Amazing performance, and another amazing one. He broke his hand against Edmonton, OT winner in Game 4 against Tampa. So he was as biggest part of the run as anyone, and we're going to miss him for sure.
Was there any discussion with him during the summer leading up to it, after free agency began? Like, were you talking to him, or did you just let him kind of do his own thing?
Yeah, you want to talk. It's just guys' livelihoods, and you don't want to, he's a grown man with a family and people to take care of, and you want him to stay. I wish he was here, but, telling a guy to convince him to stay on a deal he's not happy with, and then he looks at you. And so I just let guys do their thing and make their decisions. And I wish he was back, but that's just the Cap world. When you win, you lose guys, which sucks. You see it with every team. Chicago, Pittsburgh, Tampa lost a couple guys, and it's too bad.
Kind of an awkward moment with the group chat situation. Everyone just gets their jabs in on him, and then it's peace out, fade into the dust.
That's left the group chat.
Well, he gave us a jab. No, it was just classic Nas. He's like, want to let you guys know first, I signed with the Flames. I love all you guys. He's like, but I don't cut any deals on the ice. And then it was like Nas and Kadri left chat or something. It was awesome. Man.
That's ruthless.
Classic Nas.
I was actually going to say that there's no doubt he would run. He'd try to run you first game you play Calgary too. That's just probably what he brings.
I'm ready for it. Yeah, I'm ready for an elbow in the face. So, but yeah, it's cool though when you win. You kind of walk forever together, and we had our rings, and I wish all those guys were there. But you're connected in a way that's pretty special, and whatever happens the rest of our careers, it's all good.
How about you guys reviving Blink 182?
Were they dead? Were they dead for a bit?
They were not touring. I don't want to say they broke up as a band, but they weren't doing much.
They just announced the tour, Biz.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying the Colorado Avalanche completely revived Blink 182, and to the point I think that they're playing tomorrow, either right before you guys go on the ice or near the red carpet, and it's going to be a big shit show with Blink 182. Given that you guys all the small things.
Yeah, it's cool. You were at some playoff games, right? Working the games.
Nuts. It was fucking nuts, man.
It was crazy. I think Denver's a great sports town, man, and it was the way the fans were singing that. We're up like 2 or 3-0 late in the third. We knew we had to win. It was sick. We might have to save it though for the next playoffs here. I don't know if we can hear that for another 41 home games, but.
Hey, one of the coolest things though was when I was at the game when I think it was when he got this. No, it wasn't that the stick in the eye, but Kemper ended up getting hurt again, where Francouz had to come in, and the ovation that the fans gave him coming in mid-game was incredible, to the point where I felt like it gave him that confidence, where he ended up standing on his head the games that he had to come in and help the team win some games.
I think that was game 2 against Edmonton at home, and then Frankie technically he didn't get a shutout, but he got a shutout with you came in mid first, didn't let in a goal, won 4-0. They were chanting Frankie's name. Our backup goaltender from Czech, everyone knows him, which is cool. I think people love it, man, and it's crazy right now. It's super cool to be a part of this city, and yeah, it's great.
Nate, have you talked to Sid about repeating it all, and if he's given any lessons, the main thing to sort of guard against?
I think his advice has run out now. I got one, and he doesn't want me to repeat because that means they don't win.
Don't want to catch him.
No, I think every journey is different. Every group of guys is different, and obviously there's similarities in each win. But I think just with Sid, it's not so much tons of advice. It's just more the camaraderie, the hanging out, the chirping, everything is the best part.
At what point in the summer did you say, all right, enough, this over, turn the page? Was it after the parade, after last night? When do you say, all right, you don't forget about the cup, but obviously you gotta move on to the new season?
That was pretty quick. I mean, I didn't throw it away like you said, but I was enjoying playing hockey. I started skating 2 weeks after we won again. All the boys are skating back home, who I'm tight with, so I had nothing going on. So I just I wasn't planning on it, but I threw up my gear, and I was awful. So bad in those first few skates, and I'm like, why am I out here? But it was good, and I think as training camp really starts up, you just want to win it again. And the rings was really cool, but you're kind of looking to move on as well, because it's hard to really reminisce all the time when you got to chase down another long 82 game season, playoff run hopefully, and it's a grind, so we got to get ready here.
Did you get away on a nice vacation? You go anywhere good at the end of the year, or was it just kind of right back home?
Went to Cabo for 4 or 5 days, which was cool. And I went to Napa with EJ as well. So
He loves.
He's been drinking since you guys won.
Loves his vino.
Yeah, EJ's a psalm, self-proclaimed psalm. So he'll this guy will be on the bird after a game, and like he'll be like bring his own bottles, and he'll tell guys like he'll be decanting his wine on the plane, and like this one's got to breathe. And I'm like, EJ, come on, man, like can we just have a glass? Like Jesus, he's a beauty though.
Is he trying to get you in the horse game too? I know he's big on the horse gambling and owning horses.
I want to get in the horse game.
I think he has one named Biz Nasty who's got shot knees just like I do.
He's got one named McKinnon who's actually decent. Like he always sends me articles on McKinnon. He's on the come up, and he got a new trainer, and it's a crazy. It's funny, but it's a crazy business, and people love it. And I guess, yeah, McKinnon's on the come up, but I haven't got into it yet. I'm not rich enough like EJ, so maybe one day.
Well, is there anything that you are interested in that you like to spend your money on outside of just like the hockey side of it? Like, what are your guilty pleasures with your finances?
New weights for the gym every year.
You Halifax guys are so down to earth and so modest. It's just like I feel like you guys just like you stack it up, kind of like Sid does.
It's in their mattress.
Yeah, yes, Sid definitely stacks it up for sure. But I don't know, man. I don't have anything specific like that. So yeah, I don't know. Just sweet potatoes and shit like that, I guess.
I know you're big on the diet. And okay, so was it a team rule that guys couldn't be dummying too much sweets? Like, were you trying to monitor other guys' diets as well, or just maybe encouraging it?
I don't know. That stuff gets pretty blown out of proportion. People love people like want to think that, I think, more than I actually do. But yeah, guys can do what they want. You know, we're all grown men.
Okay. All right. Glad we can clear the air on that. Sorry about spreading rumors.
Yep.
Nate, was EJ the one who had the biggest ripper all summer party wise, or has somebody go a little harder than him?
I think he might have won it. And he PJ'd from like Denver to Cali like midday. I heard he was trying to get Kygo to do his cup party, but it was 1.5 million, so that didn't work out for him.
Holy shit, for 2-hour performance?
Yeah.
Not even 2 hours.
You better get the plow his old lady.
PJ him in.
Holy shit. That is fucking 1.5 sheets for a 2-hour set of hitting the play button. That is out. Just throw the iPod on, EJ.
Visit be trying to do 3 a day.
Best of Chicago, yeah. Oh yeah.
Shut up, Whit, you fucker. Oh man. Hey, another question I had was like, as one of the leaders on the team at the deadline, you guys made some massive acquisitions. Do they try to run them by you a little bit, seeing like, hey, is this a guy you would fit with our group? Or, because of what Sakic's been through and stuff like that, they're just like, no, we're going to handle it. You guys get no fucking say.
No, they ask a lot, actually. Him, C-Mac, Chris McFarland, our new GM, who was assistant for like 6-7 years. Because I think players should get relied on a little bit more if you trust them. Obviously, they have to prove that you're worth asking. But I think players know players best, and you hear how guys are around the league from the boys around the league and who play with them, and you know what kind of players they are, things like that. So one guy I really wanted to bring in was Cogs. I trained with him for like 10 years with Andy. Went to Vail camps. I always loved his energy and like his intensity and his humor. He's so funny and just a great guy to have around. And I know he wasn't going to come in and score 20 for us in the playoffs, but we didn't need that. He's such a great leader, and he did score huge goals for us along the way. So, and we also brought in Josh Manson, Nico Sturm, and Arturi Mckinnon. So what a deadline for us. It was, sometimes it doesn't work out. You load up, a good team loads up, and it just kind of throws the vibe off on the team, puts everyone down a spot, but it was perfect. All great guys, humble guys, and yeah, it fit perfectly.
That Mckinnon's a puck hound, man. He just fucking forechecks it.
He's an animal.
It's crazy.
This guy just sits around cross-legged, like heart rate's at 26 all day, and then gets on the ice and just is an animal. It's so funny.
Probably dummying every crossword and every fucking newspaper too.
Yeah, that's what it seems. Yeah,
I fucking.
He loves mystical shows and like Game of Thrones and he's telling all the boys about the new Lord of the Rings series on Amazon, and the elves and shit. Yeah, he's awesome, man. I love that guy. He's so, yeah. I wouldn't call him weird because he's not weird, but it's funny.
He's Finnish.
Yeah, he's Finnish, and he just loves breaking down elves and stuff. And it's awesome.
Some of those Finnish guys are into the heavy metal. Was he one of those guys too?
No, but he hasn't heard like half a Drake song. Even like he's like, oh, I never heard this one before. It's like, I don't know, one of Drake's top songs, and he's like, oh yeah, I haven't heard this one. I'm like, oh, are you in Finland? I don't know what fucking town he's in, but he's a chill guy, and it's cool when someone that relaxed gets on the ice as an animal and forechecks and back checks and blocks everything. It's funny how the switch turns or whatever.
You talked about the PJ. What are you doing on the PJ? What's the seating arrangement? Are you a card player? How's it all go?
I got like my own seat where I'm at, and I'll like go play cards with the boys if I'm feeling like I got like 2 seats right now. So
you're just flicking someone in the ear. Hey.
Yeah. I don't think anyone wants to sit next to me. So, they're like, oh, I don't want to sit next to Nate. So I'll go sit next to them on the card table. So sometimes Newey or Bo is playing cards. I'll have to big dog and kick him out. But
Newey is New Hook.
Yeah, Newey. Yeah,
he's going to have a lot of responsibility this year with the fact that Kadri's gone. Like, I mean, what are you seeing from him early on? And do you think he could fill in that role to a T?
Yeah, there's just a different vibe about him this year. I think, he's sort of good year at half a point a game, good player, but you can tell how focused he is this season. And I know like the gym and all that shit's not everything, but he looks great. He's working his ass off on the ice, in the gym just doing everything he can to get ready to go, and asking more questions this year. I think he's not as shy. So he looks great, and I'm excited to see what kind of step he can take, because it's a hard league, man, to figure out. And I think he's getting a lot better, and I think he's going to have a good season. I know he's going to start at the 2 centerman spot, and going to have a lot of responsibility, and we need him to be good.
Did Joe Sakic let his hair down at all? I know he's a pretty quiet, like reserved guy, but did he get wild at all during the celebrations?
Super Joe, he got wild, but he likes a nice glass of red, and he's a great guy. He's got a great sense of humor that people probably don't see, but he's a great man and a funny guy. I mean, you couldn't be a captain of a team for 20 years with a little humor, I think. And he had some fun for sure.
The player like Makar's turned into in this past season, he gets the Conn Smythe. How blown away are you by what he's kind of accomplished already? Because watching him, like we kind of say he's the McDavid defenseman, right? And I also did hear, right? We heard, I don't know, Grinelli, correct me if I'm wrong, Lyles mentioned there was times you were giving it to him in the locker room, no?
Well, I give it to everybody though, so I got to treat everyone the same way. You know what I mean?
Does anyone ever give it to you? Does anyone ever give it to you?
I know when I'm dog shit.
You just go to the bathroom and look in the mirror and start being like, "Shut, wake the fuck up, man! You're fucking." And then you come out of the bathroom and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
Like, okay,
no, man, I'm getting calmer. I'm getting older now. I'm getting calmer. But yeah, I think Kale. But I called it. I think I said like 3 years ago, Kale was like the best team in the league in Halifax on this pod. But he's turned out to be. I think he's going to be the best defenseman ever to play. You could say Bobby Orr, but I think Kale hopefully has a longevity, and I think he'll break every defenseman. I don't know who's got the point record, but I think he's going to break everything. He might win 5 or 6 straight Norrises. I don't know. You know what I mean? He's so good. And the way he dominates the game from the back end, he's kind of reinventing the position a little bit. But if you're going to play like that, you need to have those physical tools like him, and no one has them. So it's crazy how much better he is than everyone else.
So you're saying almost guarantee at one point in his career 100 points?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a joke.
He seems so calm demeanored off the ice too. Like what's his personality like? What does he think is funny? Like what's he watching in order to get his, what's he watching in order to get his giggles in?
We don't know. We think he might be a little sick. behind closed doors, but
It's always the quiet ones.
They bring him out in the Hannibal Lecter costume.
Yeah.
He's got the gimp outfit in the basement.
Yeah. He's definitely quieter, but he's another guy who's kind of growing into his own personality, and he has a great sense of humor. But he's so mentally strong, and he's like a fucking vault. This guy, he's just the same all the time, no matter what, and it's great. You just know what you're getting from him every night, and he's so mentally strong. And I think obviously his physical tools are what they are, but he's a freak, and he's a great guy as well. So
there was another thing, Nate, I heard was during your cup run that you ended up getting a text from Wayne Gretzky. I don't know if that's true or not. If so, like, what did he say in the midst of your run, and what'd you say back, and what type of words of encouragement did he give you?
Yeah, I met his sons. I got to know them 5-6 years ago through Tyson Berry, and I met Wayne, and he's always been really supportive of me of my whole career. I'm sure he is with a lot of guys around the league, but even 2018, 2019, the playoffs, he'll be texting me. I think when we beat the Oilers, he texted us or texted me, kind of go win it. And whenever Wayne Gretzky pops up on your phone, it's still crazy to look at. But yeah, he's and he ends all his texts with 99 on the bottom, which is pretty sick. So sick. Yeah, so sick. Only guy that could do that. Maybe 87 and 99, but that's about it. It's so cool though to have that support, and yeah, I mean, I'm just a fan like everyone else.
Nate, I wanted to ask about the cup handoff. I know it's something that you don't want to tempt the hockey gods with, but at what point does that get discussed or figured out by the captains how they're going to do it? At what point?
After you win, after you win.
Okay, okay, wow.
Yeah, yeah, just like, guys are like, you take it, and they're like, no, you I think Gabe gave it to EJ, and then I think Cogs. EJ. No, I gave it to Cogs. EJ gave it to me. Fuck.
That's all right, man.
Stumped.
A lot
That's
of
right.
cocktails.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But anyways, I think I gave it to Cogs. The Cogs gave it to me, and that was cool. That was pretty. I thought that'd be cool. And the way, I don't know if you guys saw the way Cogs hoisted it. He did it like in front of the guys, and it was cool. It was like a soccer thing. But yeah, we kind of figured that out. Like you said, you don't want to jinx anything, so we just. And who gives a shit anyways? Who hoists it when, we all got to hoist it. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. Sick question. All right. You fucking idiot.
No.
Hey, you answering that was like when I was doing my states and capitals test when I was in grade 12 and grade 9 geography. I was like,
Did go great,
I have zero clue. Just give me a fucking F. Can I get back to practice? What do you got, Whit Dog?
Well, everything I heard, I actually met a couple guys that know Bednar real well. I believe he lives around Charleston, South Carolina in the summer from coaching there, but nothing but great things to say about him. And I could tell like the players have pretty good relationship with him from what I've seen. So how happy were you for him, and how much discussion are you and him having throughout last season in terms of like the entire team's game or your game?
Yeah, Betsy's a great guy, man. Like, it's nice having a coach who's not a hard ass. It just seems painful, and it would get old pretty quick. And you can actually have a real conversation. He'll hold you accountable, but doesn't humiliate you or play mind games or not say hi to you in the mornings and shit. Because that, guys, it affects them. And but yeah, Bedsy's a great communicator. I think that's his best attribute. He gets through to the players, and we've had him for like 6 or 7 years. That's a long time to have the same coach, and it hasn't gotten old or anything. So, but yeah, super happy. I mean, he came from the coast, East Coast League coaching. He wasn't handed a job or whatever by a buddy or whatever it could be sometimes. And he earned it. He won in the East Coast. He won in the A, and then he obviously won with us. So really happy for him. Obviously really happy for Ray Bennett as well. He was 23 years in the NHL. Started with the Kings in like 98 and won it. Our forward power play coach, Nolan Pratt as well. So really cool.
What kind of message did he give you guys at the start of camp? Just kind of like everyone, I forgot about last year, turn the page, or did he, let you still wallow in a little bit? What did he say to the crew?
Yeah, I just think, you learn from when you lose and you kind of learn from when you win as well. And that's what we're taking from a lot of lessons of why we were successful. We weren't magically successful. There's a reason. There's a lot of reasons that we need to replicate and even get better in some areas. And but yeah, we're looking to just continue to be aggressive and hunt. And I know you hear we're the hunted now, but I don't even know what that means. These fucking sayings and stuff. But we're looking to put doubt in teams' minds, and hopefully we can do that all season long. But it's a grind. We need to remember that to take care of ourselves. It's a long season, and hopefully we'll get another one.
Hey, who do you want to rip on right now for eating something out of the cup? Like who is getting roasted in the?
I'm not saying anything. No, I'm not saying anything. No.
All right.
No.
Okay. We'll keep it under wraps here. Hey, I tell you what, man, like as you're maturing and you're getting later in your career, you're buttoning it up a little bit. You obviously have a lot on your plate. I feel like you maybe were a little bit looser early on, but when you're chasing these cups now, you can't let it fly like you used to.
Yeah. I had some loose lips back in the day, huh? I guess maybe a couple cocktails the night before in Halifax, and you guys got me vulnerable. But I got the home opener tomorrow night, so I'm in a different mindset right now. If you caught me in July, I might have some better stories for you.
You're playing an AHL team tomorrow for.
No, stop.
No, you're not saying it. I'm going to say it. They put that one on a fucking tee for you guys. I mean, they called me. They tried to sign me to a PTO to play as a 6D man.
You fight Derby tomorrow night or what?
Okay. I'm glad you brought up. How about him getting dummied by the cup? He tried to put it over his head, and he's the best. Man. He's the best guy. He's the quietest guy. Looks like the grumpiest motherfucker, but when he gets a few cocktails in him, the funnest guy on the planet.
Together, right? In Ontario?
We played in Ontario. He wasn't there when we won the Calder Cup. Not a big deal, but he was there in Ontario, and I helped him hone his skills so he could help you guys out. Sonk.
He's a scary dude, man. Like he's like 6'5", 240, jacked, and loves violence. Like he wants it. But yeah, great dude, and him falling with the cup was funny, but he felt so bad. He's gentle, dry, and he's like, I want to apologize to everyone, and we're like, Derby, it's all good, man. Like, don't worry about it. He's just such a nice person and really hardworking guy, and it's nice when he's playing the games on the ice. No one goes near any of us, so. No one wants that guy.
Yeah, he's a mutant. You should have seen him pumping guys in the American League, man. It was I didn't even want to go near him as his fucking teammate.
Yeah, he's scary, man.
He's really a sick puppy. He's a sick puppy.
Yeah. Are they still doing the engravement yet? Have you been able to see a name on the cup, or are they still working on that aspect?
That's a good question. I think it takes this lady in Montreal 10 days to do it, 10 straight days. And it was there last night, and I don't think it's done yet. So
will that be more exciting than getting the ring, having your name on the cup?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think just because you're with all the best players that ever play hockey, the ring is amazing, and that's cool too. Each player on the team has a ring, so I guess it's tough. But all of our names are together. Plus, you're looking obviously at all the guys the last 160, 80 years, whatever it is. It's really cool.
Did you guys understand or see right away when Abe Kubel fell with it, dented the thing right before the picture?
No, it was, the bottom of it's like still caved in. But yeah, that was crazy. He heel picked, and I don't think he played that night. So he was cold, and that ice was like mush. So he wasn't ready for that. And yeah, that was hilarious. Kubi's a funny guy, and yeah, that wasn't his best moment. But he got front row of the picture. He was going to put it down and go to the back, but since he fell, he just kind of like laid there and was front row. So it worked out for him.
Well, Nate Dogg, I don't got much more, man. We appreciate your time. We know you got the home opener. Whit, was there anything else you had to ask him? Maybe we'll
let you go. We could tell the game face is getting turned on, but I shouldn't say that because this is not a cliche guy. He made that clear. He's not into the
no game face.
So. No game face. What's a game face? You ever seen that clip? The guy's doing the different faces. We appreciate it, Nate Dogg, and congratulations, man. Contract, Stanley Cup, way more important. And we're looking forward to this rematch that you guys want next summer.
Oh, I'd love to. We come up to Boston and snapping around with the boys.
No doubt.
All right. And I'll text you about Aunt Marcia's tickets, by the way. We'll get those.
Yeah, let me know, man.
Sounds good, buddy. And,
just
and
like
best of
20K
luck
in
tomorrow.
tickets. Yep, thanks, man.
Well, thank you, everyone. And that interview was brought to you by Verizon Wireless. The new Google Pixel 7 Pro is unbelievable. And right now, if you switch over to Verizon, if you're involved with some other company, they will give you a free Google Pixel 7 Pro with select trade-ins and select 5G unlimited plans. As mentioned before the interview, I love Verizon. They are extremely reliable, and I've been with them for over 15 years. Huge thank you to Nate Dogg for coming on, especially with his time crunch schedule. Big opening night for him and crew. You mentioned this guy fucking hounds pucks like no man I've ever fucking seen. For a superstar, the way that he gets on the forecheck and fucking gets the second opportunities.
I just like his skating, the way his crossovers, like those are his sound effects, hey, when he's skating.
You just hear him coming as the defense. The ice is ripping apart.
If I saw him do one jumping crossover bound that he does, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, it would be like Petrangelo at that outdoor game. Like, oh God, here we go.
You'd be as demoralized.
Like, see you later.
You'd be as demoralized as the guy who tried to propose to his friend.
This poor bastard.
Listen, we could talk about the Islanders and the trash buckets that they are, but more importantly, the people in the crowd. They had a guy, somebody said that it was planned, that then after talking to more people within the organization, Frank Borelli said that this was not known and nobody knew it was going to happen. Guy who not only proposed, but took his shirt off, and on the shirt, or on his bare chest, it says, please say yes, yes, yes. On his chest.
The Islanders go yes,
yeah,
yes,
and
yes.
If you have to write that on your chest, like, it's probably not the girl for you. Not to mention, I've said many times in this show, if you try to get engaged at a pro sporting event, you're a piece of trash. So it's one of the worst moves in the world. It's one of the most depressing things for a woman, probably. I got to get engaged at a pro sporting event. And then she says no to this guy. And the fact that you have to then stand up in front of all these people, I don't even understand how you ask somebody to marry you without knowing 100% they're going to give you the yes. But I'll tell you this, it's fucking shocking to see that poor prick write that all over his chest and then get denied in front of thousands of people.
If you're the woman, though, wouldn't you just say yes to avoid the awkward moment? And then once you get home being like, all right, obviously it's a no. Like, this is a hard no, but just to avoid the whole arena seeing you whisper in the poor guy's ear, like, I'm not saying yes here. I think I'm saying yes just to get out of the awkward situation.
I wonder what she said. Like, this isn't
happening. It looked like she didn't like put her hand over her mouth, I think, and she was like, oh my God, like, I don't.
Not at an Islanders game.
It's like, this is our first date.
We met on Tinder a week ago.
We just met on Hinge. And I'm not the analytics guy, and Gretzky said it best, stats are for losers, but what is the percentage of women who turn down men in proposals at sporting events? And then later on, what is the percentage of couples that actually stay together in which they are engaged?
It's like a reality show. It's like
we got to get the numbers on this.
It's like getting married on a reality show. What are those ones? Like when you go and you're trying to find a husband or a wife, like Bachelor.
Like any of the Bachelor
do they
winners
stay together when
married?
you have to like force it like that? I don't know. But you always see at the sporting event, though, the guy that like is with his girlfriend or whatever, and then like the team scores, and then like there's such like a good feeling. It's like, yeah, now I can go in for a kiss. And you always see the
that happened at a Pens game.
Was it? And then the girl's like, oh, get out of here, you know, and it's on camera. And it just gets busted. It's so
like
funny.
a Gino goal could get my old lady horned up enough so I can make out with her on the Jumbotron. Quick double wristers. Derek Lalonde had his first win as a head coach.
Great
with the
interview
Wings.
too, by the way. That was awesome. Yeah, he was really good. He was cool.
People were asking, how did he get his nickname?
Well, I think we mentioned it last show, but there was a player RA knew, a player and a coach back in the day with the last name Lalonde, and he was called Newsy. So I think that's kind of where it all stems from. But even reading an article about it, I think Lalonde's like, I don't even really know. It's just always been my nickname. And I said last week, it's a good nickname. I like that. Newsy.
Other head coaches, I know we already mentioned Buffalo, and you know, they look good and competitive. They signed Don Granato to a 2-year extension, so another double wrister for him. He signed through 2026. the team that I had making playoffs and who I was very bullish coming in on, 3-0 so far, and the goalie who I was saying to everybody, top 7 in Vezina voting by the time this season is over, Logan Thompson and the Vegas Golden Knights. They are firing on all cylinders. They put a beat down on LA that first game. I think they outshot them by 20 shots, 50-30. What do you guys think, and what are you seeing so far with that team?
I saw the first night. Eichel was incredible. He was flying around in the first period, dominating. I think that Cassidy being there, Cassidy's kind of a guy, it might be tortoise, the shelf life, I'm not exactly sure about. You heard a lot of whispers coming out of Boston. Guys were sick of him, but you can't deny his success, and especially early on, getting to a team that needed to get things on the path correctly as this season began, with all the question marks and all the league really rooting against them. So they got guys healthy. They got guys back. They look awesome. The goaltending was the question, but so far Logan Thompson's looked phenomenal. I think he's 2-0. I think his goals against is beneath 1.5, and he's looked really good. So Murls was on it too as a possible Rookie of the Year winner.
Rookie of the Year, 13-1 odds. So that's a real nice.
Take that
nice
when a guy's
one.
getting a chance.
I mean, he's getting to play a lot. Like, did you pick them? Was it you?
I got him
to make the playoffs
for sure.
Isn't that a far cry from what they were like supposed to be? I've had them last I don't know how many years of being in the final.
Yeah,
and now it's let's make the playoffs, boys.
I know.
Well, I chip in a chair. I mean, the Western Conference, I bet you're looking at the teams from Alberta, Colorado, and them as the top 4. Mm-hmm. And I think that anyone with half a brain would have expected them to make playoffs. But with that back end they have, who I think that nobody talks about enough, if you get solid goaltending, which you're probably not giving up a ton of high danger opportunities with that back end, they got enough guys up front that can put the puck in the net.
It's like you said about Colorado. You were saying that to Gretzky as well.
Yeah, when he told me to shut the fuck
and
up.
It's still Vegas. Guys are going to be having a
flu.
good time when they go on the road there, so that they're going to win the majority of the home games. Boys, let's not go any further without talking about Shopify first. It's time to knock that new business idea out of the park with Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Forget the off-season work. Shopify makes it simple to sell anyone from anywhere. Whether you're selling warm-ups or wall hangers, it's time to start selling with Shopify and join the platform, simplifying commerce for millions of businesses worldwide. With Shopify, you'll customize your online store to your brand, discover new customers, and build the relationships that create die-hard fans. Shopify fields all the sales channels to grow a winning business, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform, even across social media platforms like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And thanks to the 24/7 support, free on-demand business courses, Shopify is on your team every step of the way. So when you're ready to take your winning idea to the world, team up with Shopify, the commerce platform powering millions of businesses down the street and around the globe. Try our Shopify for free today and start selling anywhere. Sign up for a free trial at shopify.com/chiclets, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/chiclets to start selling online today. Shopify.com/chiclets.
Another quick double wrister, DeBoer in Dallas. I was very skeptical of them coming in. Robertson wasn't in camp. We know that he can go into any team and change things around very quickly. Let's pump the brakes a little bit, though. They got Nashville, who had to fly all the way from overseas, try to get their sea legs back, and they ended up beating them in back-to-back games. So great start for Dallas. Seguin looks unbelievable. I won't make any other comments because I don't want to fucking get shit on online.
Mason Marchman with an awesome individual effort goal, and what a pickup he is.
That was a sick play.
Both those teams that were in Europe haven't won since they've been back either. So that's a little. We got to remember this next year.
Yes, Euro flu. Well, you're also getting crippled.
Everybody thinks it's easy flying over here with this time change. Now I'm proving
That's Murls. Murls has been through this every trip.
Murls was in
he goes
Pittsburgh.
Back wounded.
Murls was in Pittsburgh 3 days before the weekend started just to go. I was like, hey, buddy, you want to come over for dinner? He's like, no, I got to take a nap at this time. I got to get calibrated. I know how to beat this. I know my routine. You don't want to be around
I prepare
me.
more for these weekends than I did my NHL games. That's how hard they are.
Time to take a few sky dumps, and I know we touched on it briefly, but considering Posh is here, let's just really go at this team. Jersey, so much frustration in those 2 first games. We mentioned the fans booing Lindy Ruff, completely obnoxious, but what a bunch of losers. Probably Frank the Tank started that one, and then Miles Woods, his quotes. I'm just sick and tired of being on a bad team. Oof. That's the thing that stinks the most. Tomorrow is a must-win game for us that they probably ended up losing.
When it's must-win game 2 of 82, you have serious issues.
And it's my job to get the guys going. He did apologize the next day for basically shitting on the fact that Fitzgerald can't put a good team together, and he keeps handing out bad contracts. And then what do you guys make of a role player like that calling out his team first couple days of the season?
Well, I think he missed most of last year due to injury, like the entire year due to injury.
I think it was post-traumatic stress disorder from the sandbagger.
From us dummying him in a sandbagger.
It might have been the sandbagger.
But it's, I think I like Miles Woods. I think he's he plays with like passion and emotion, and like he's a valuable player to their team, and he's been there through like really hard times. And you're right. I think it is, already kind of like panicky to start the year. I mean, Lindy Ruff's walking off of interviews at the end of the year talking about Jesper Bratt's ice time. It's already hit a point where people have had enough. The frustration level, not only for fans, media with their questions around this team, and now Miles Woods is saying I've had enough. So you can only take so much.
And you can only take so much after so many years of consistent success. And I believe they got 3 cups in that kind of dynasty. What are you going to say? 15 years. Scott Stevens, Niedermeyer, all that, the Brodeur crew. And it's just been so brutal since then. I know they had the one run to the cup final with DeBoer behind the bench when LA got him. But after that, it's like this team's been bad for a long time. And so you see the frustration of the fans. I shit on the fans for saying fire Ruff. It's like, look at the roster he has. There isn't much to work with there. I don't know what coach is going to have a ton of success with this team, but fans are going to blame someone. They're going to pick a player. They're going to pick a coach. And to have it happen this early, it's just kind of a panic for the staff up top, because where do you go from here?
I got a question. Are they as bad as the noise right now, or is this just a bad start?
I think
it's TikTok hockey, and
Pasha
I think they're brutal.
Says they're 50-50 to make the playoffs this year. I'm like,
I thought they would be better this year too. I don't know about playoffs, but I thought they'd be better. But I don't know if it's like this bad.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think Buffalo and Detroit finish with more points than these guys this regular season?
Yes.
And would you say that's not embarrassing for having 2 first overall picks and basically the pedigree of draft picks they've been able to have over the course of the last 6 to 7 years? They started their rebuild way before Buffalo. They started their rebuild way before Detroit.
No, I think Buffalo's been rebuilding for like 12 years, I think. So I don't know about that.
Fair enough.
Detroit's kind of just recently getting into it, and
but look how good go for it.
Detroit. I'm bullish on Detroit. I'm a Red Wings guy. But by the way, Soderblom, the 6'8" monster, scored his first NHL goal. I think it was the first goal of the season. Creative player, NHL 97. But he yeah, I think those two teams, I'd much rather be rooting for those two than the Devils. Not to mention the arena and the whole vibe around the Devils games. It's just depressing.
Oh, it's brutal in that ring.
Oh, my God.
It's worse than a Pasha.
It's in the middle of
worse than a Pasha dinner date. Just no chemistry. Just horrible conversation.
Pasha's taking a beating right now. He's got no microphone to back himself up.
One last sky dump on a team that some of you guys had making waves this year, Minnesota. They have gotten shit pumped their first 2 games, allowed 14 goals in those 2 games. Flower ends up getting pulled. I just, with that cap hit that they're getting with the Parise and Suter buyouts, I think they're doomed this year.
You guys we might have to go in
doomed?
there. We might have to go in there for Chiclets weekend to get them
going.
Yeah.
I was wounded the last time we went there. It was like, remember it was minus 30 out.
Oh, yeah.
We were ice fishing.
Didn't they win like 8 straight after we were up there?
Yeah.
We do bring the Chiclets bump.
Well, what do we see? Fleury get lit up for 7, then he got pulled. It's just not the start you're expecting after being kind of a team that nobody really talks about or looks at, to actually being a relevant team, as you would say, Biz, where it's like, oh God, it's must watch hockey. Are they gonna take a step back off that? Are they gonna lose some of the excitement around their team? And I think a start goes a long way, and they just haven't had the start right now. That it's kind of pushed them off, off that hill they started to climb up and get some relevancy in the league about being this competitive all-around team. So is it the contracts, the buyouts? I think that has lots to do with it for sure.
It's a lot.
On the positive end,
does.
Boldy had 2 goals, I think, the first game. One of them was a beaut in front of the net, backhand toe
Great
drag.
hands.
And then the other negative side was seeing Fiala. I think he had 3 points, 1 and 2 against them the other night. His first goal as a King was a rocket one-timer in Minnesota. So that's a guy they're going to miss that they couldn't afford because of those buyouts.
Last thing off topic I wanted to mention before we end this thing, and once again, Colby, thank you for joining us and everything you did for us in Pittsburgh this weekend, setting up the Steelers game, having the Rat Pack come to the live event definitely added a lot of energy and enthusiasm, especially with the wrecking ball. Jonah Hill is expected to star in a biopic of John Daly's life as a golfer.
Ooh.
I would probably say this is the most excited I would ever see a biopic if this is in fact true.
If we can get the true John Daly stories in this movie, I think it would be amazing. I don't know who's producing it or anything, but Jonah Hill's a big name.
Jonah Hill's starring in it and directing it as well.
Okay, all right. So if you're going to get the true stories, which I'm pretty sure John Daly's very open about, I mean, there's times he had the shakes on the course. There's times he was drinking all night, going right to his tee time. A freak talent golfing wise, like a guy who, if he probably didn't battle some of the issues he has throughout his life, like could have won 5-6 majors. I mean, he got 2 and he was he came from out of nowhere. So just a stupidly skilled golfer with a crazy life story. So I'd look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I think we know, like, majority once he hit the scene, like, what he's done, and the spotlight and some of the troubles around the potential of his career. But like, I saw his college golf team life and like what his coach had to do with him, his upbringing, all that kind of stuff that they could get into with this story, which is pretty wild. Because I think I saw in a documentary, like, he had to they want him to lose like 60, 70 pounds to play golf on the golf team in college.
On the blow diet?
He said he lived off of Jack Daniels and popcorn. That was his diet. And he dropped all the weight. Like, who would have thought that? So, yeah, we'll see. Jonah
Golf's
Hill.
a crazy sport where you get a big old hefty fat golfer and he loses weight and they're like not good anymore. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, you almost want to leave whatever your body looks like if you become a PGA Tour golfer and just stay there.
I want to say, too, on top of, before you threw it to that, thanks for coming home, boys. Thanks for coming home. I hope you guys felt the love from Pittsburgh.
We did.
I love living here. I do. I was glad you guys came here and got the live show was rammed. All the sponsors, unbelievable, the whole weekend. And I was so proud to have you guys back here and to be able to feel that. You guys are once a Penguin, always a Penguin, boys.
I'm once an Oiler, always an Oiler. I don't think the Ducks count me anymore. The Panthers sure as shit don't want me. Sochi, Russia doesn't want anything to do with me either. But I think Ornskjold and what was my team? Modo. They like me for the 2 games I had. Army, thanks so much. Murls, always thanks for the travel and being a part of this crew. Chiclets, etc. is going to be crazy. The one story I'll kind of finish off with, I forgot to mention, was Army setting us up, or no, Game Time set us up with the tickets. And if you want to see any games this season, you need Game Time. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, don't know what you're waiting for. You guys are going to love this app. It makes it so simple, so easy. We've had tons of Barstool fans using it, hitting us up on social, and telling us about the great deals they are getting to get in to see their favorite team live. We've been using Game Time all year and went to the Steelers game just the other day because of them. So thank you so much to them. Download the Game Time app right now. Go to the account tab to create a login and redeem code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So shout out Game Time to the Steelers game yesterday. I had to tell Biz and Merle, it's a little better than the other time I went to a Pittsburgh Steelers game. It was when I was on the Penguins and we won a Saturday night home game. We had Sunday off. My buddies were in town. So we got wrecked. We got after. It was a great party in Pittsburgh Saturday night, and then we went to the game. It was a 1 o'clock game. I want to say it was first or second game of the year because it was ended up being about 100 degrees that day, 95, 100 degrees. And we're down there and we're hungover. And I kind of like wandered off away from my boys from home. Foles was there and they're like, where'd he go? And they walked out. And I don't even really remember this that well, but I was so hungover and it was so hot. They walked up and they saw me. I was at the first aid station underneath underneath the bowels of the Heinz Field. And I'm sitting at the first aid station with an ice pack on my forehead and a woman with like a self-made fan fan, trying to cool me down. So I basically had heat stroke / hungover stroke the last time I was at a game, and this one I got to sit there and watch Tom Brady get beat up on by the Steelers. So thanks again, Army, and thanks to the city of Pittsburgh. RA, we missed you. Feel better, buddy, and we'll come back to you next week. I broke my back, bitch. Peace, guys. Love you.
Hey, gang. Harry here. Listen, I'm so bummed out I missed Pittsburgh this week. I was moping around all week. I was laid up, too, walking around a freaking cane like Yoda all week. And that was the worst part, not being in Pittsburgh, to see all the Pittsburgh listeners. I know some of you are not my biggest fans, but I'm wicked bummed out I couldn't get there. But I couldn't miss a Chiclets episode. I've done all 411 of them, plus the ones before that. So I couldn't miss the show. So I'm doing the equivalent of Phil Kessel going to Detroit, taking one shift and then heading home to see the birth of his kid. Minus the birth of the kid part, I'm not having a kid. I'm coming out to do a lap like Kessel did, keep the streak alive, and we'll go from there. I'll be back next week and hopefully healed up. Love you guys and gals, and I'll see you at the next pit stop, wherever it may be. See you later.